And hey, howdy, hi, YouTube. It has been almost 3 seconds for me. Possibly even less time for you, who knows. We're going to read the Danganronpa If mini novel. Light novel. We're talking about Twitch. In between Twitch only things in between YouTube recordings. Too late, man. I'm already recording. And I don't want to toss out a recording. So, yeah. Following novel contains references to characters who appear in the novel Danganronpa 0. Please do keep that in mind. Now, I actually originally had the plan to have this be my Christmas special, because Mukuro and Junko's birthday is Christmas. Christmas Eve, specifically, actually. So I wanted to have this be my Christmas special, but I realized I didn't have complete save data of 2 on my computer at the time. So, wasn't an option, I just wound up doing normal stuff for Christmas, I think. Found the cure to every disease ever, then Kameda ate it. Damn it, Kameda. Character introduction. Yeah, let's quick look over. Makoto Naegi, ultimate lucky student. Typical high school student with absolutely no remarkable talents or characteristics. Randomly selected to attend Hope Speed Academy from a pool of other unremarkable students. The ultimate moral compass, Kiyotaka Ishimaru. Head of the Public Morals Committee at his previous high school, and a noted college prep school. He's extremely strict toward lazy people, and anyone who makes fun of working hard. Byakuya Togami, the ultimate affluent progeny, who actually has his glasses off in like his lap for this shot. Member of the family which controls the Togami Corporation, an international mega conglomerate. The heir to the family business, he was harshly raised to prepare for his duties. Mondo Owada, the ultimate biker gang leader. Yeah, the bum Yakuya. Not to be confused with our goat, Byakuya Togami. At one point, he led the biggest biker gang in Japan. The classic rebel with a heart of gold, has his own strong sense of justice. Also has an undying admiration for his older brother. Leon Kawata, the ultimate baseball star. Despite his refusal to practice, he has enough natural talent that pro baseball scouts have already started courting him. Even though he's kind of obnoxious, it's hard to hate him. Hifumi Yamada, ultimate fanfic creator. He has a certain charisma within the fanfiction industry. He is very proud of the following he's cultivated. At the local school festival, he sold over 10,000 copies of his latest creation. A stunning achievement by any measure. Yasuhiro Hagakure, the ultimate clairvoyant. He relies on his own intuition to form his predictions, resulting in an accuracy rate of about 30%. Been held back a few times. Sayaka Mizuno, we're getting into the girls, the ultimate pop sensation. She's the lead singer in a world-famous pop group. Though she's the darling of a generation, she's managed to maintain her sweet, down-to-earth nature. Pondering your orb right now, for real, for real? That's him. This gopher ass. Kyoko, ultimate. The only student of the school whose ultimate talent is unknown. She carries an intense beauty, but her past and thoughts are shrouded in mystery. Aoi Asahina, ultimate swimming pro. She's a natural-born athlete. Her main focus is swimming. At her old school, she also competed in volleyball, track, and more. She has a smiling, enthusiastic nature that helps keep the others in high spirits. Toko Fukawa, the ultimate writing prodigy. Despite her age, she's already a successful novelist. In actuality, she has a personality disorder that manifests itself as the serial killer personality known as Genocide Jack. Sakura Ogami, ultimate martial artist. Her father taught her martial arts since she was a little girl. Now she has become the strongest human being on Earth. Probably will in the reboot. Danganronpa reboot. That hurts. That hurts to even consider. Ow. Celestia Ludenberg, my beloved, the ultimate gambler. Her petite Lolita appearance belies a haughty temperament and a sharp, caustic tongue. She is a master of deceit, and her face is utterly inscrutable. She is Japanese, in case you were wondering. Real name, Taiko Yasuhiro. Junko Enoshima, the ultimate fashionista. She's a charismatic model who has graced the covers of the most popular youth fashion magazines. However, her true identity is... We have Chihiro Fujisaki, who's weirdly put at the end, the ultimate programmer. She's very quiet, but has extraordinary talent when it comes to computers. Then, the ultimate soldier, Mukuro Ikusaba. No, yes, this is Junko Enoshima, because here's Mukuro. A combat specialist who has mastered handling various weapons. Ever since she was a child, she has had a special interest in mystery stories, completely engrossed by them. Yuko's true identity is Chihiro Fujisaki? That's the way it's set up. Like, Chihiro being between these two is such a weird decision. Why did they put it like that? Like, to hide gender? Then why Mukuro here? That doesn't make any sense. If anything, put Chihiro between Yasuhiro and Sayaka. If you want to do it like that, then it's like, oh, which one are they part of? Because, you know, but if you've beaten the second game, you should have beaten the first one by now. You don't need to hide that. That's such a weird place to put that. From the beginning. If Monokuma Theater. Monokuma's monologue.
The world is full of ifs. If Adam hadn't tied the knot with Eve, society as we know it never would have been born. The world that everyone lives in is just one outcome among countless ifs, and will continue to be a muddled world overflowing with infinite ifs. If is what's in miso soup, you know?
Sure tried.
What lies beyond this point is a scary world filled with iffy stepfathers who abandon their families. A Klein bottle where the inside and the outside are filled with uncertainty. Yeah, but don't break it, okay? It'd be so expensive, there's no way you'd ever be able to pay me back. But no matter how you look at it, ifs are simply worlds like any other. No matter how hypothetical the story may be, future is the only thing that's truly foggy. And the past is more solid than a frozen banana. Can't change a conclusion that has already happened. Even if you see a world that may have existed, wouldn't affect the people living in reality. Because if is only if, after all.
Don't know how hard you're holding yourself back. What are you holding yourself back from, Green Ghost? If it wasn't bored New Year's Eve and you weren't playing Daggerfall, probably wouldn't be here. I just might have raided you at some point. I think it was Daggerfall that, like, raided into, yeah. I just think you happened to follow that time. I think that's what it was, like... yeah, raided into me because I was playing Daggerfall. I am happy I played that game.
Even if a parallel world exists where a particular if actually happened.
It didn't come on the raid? Might have been the other way around, actually. Might have raided me because of you. Just mentioned? Yeah, let's go.
Even if a parallel world exists where a particular if actually happened, humans cannot cross the boundaries between worlds that easily. No matter how far if goes, there'll always be a what-if scenario. You really want to see that? You got some sick interests. You think that's an insult to Makoto and the others after the tragedy they overcame? As far as I'm concerned, I'll still insult them.
Trying not to mention him. Freeman. Steve? I don't know.
If you're gonna look at if, I think it's better if you view the outside of the Klein bottle first. Might even be better if you view the ending of a video game called Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Try to play it multiple times, spend your free time with Junko Enoshima at least 3 times too.
Yeah, you should definitely get there.
It may be ideal if you can collect all the items in movies too. But if you guys have come this far, I'm sure you've already done all that.
Of course. Who do you think we are, Monokuma? Yeah, my mouth tracking's a little weird right now. Always with this thing. Yeah, it stuck me in a perpetual frown, but fixed it.
Still, I'd buy the game if I were you. I'd actually buy at least 2 copies if I were you. The curtain lowers.
I think they wanted to do, like, a whole visual novel of this, but they realized they might have to make sprites for Mukuro, so they backed out and just made it backgrounds for the first game. What should I do with this? Koto Naegi was at a loss. Despite his hesitation, his situation was extremely simple, composed of 3 key factors. The first factor was that Makoto was currently locked inside a school. Fucked up. Hope Speak Academy is a school for the privileged elite. Each student attending possesses ultimate talent. Makoto was chosen to attend Hope Speak Academy by a lottery held to select the ultimate lucky student. He arrived for his first day of school. He immediately lost consciousness, and when he woke up, saw all the exits and windows had been sealed shut. Next factor was Monokuma, mysterious robot bear, being operated by the mastermind, and the announcement he made to all the students. I should gamble all my mono coins. Makoto Naegi, people.
You'll be living your whole life in this academy, he declared. If you want to leave, then kill someone and become the Blackened.
This strange, remote-controlled robot was telling Makoto and his fellow Ultimates to start killing each other in exchange for their freedom. They learned that more than one Monokuma exists, and that each one contains a bomb to prevent anyone from attacking them. How wooed. Top of that, Monokuma announced that anyone who attempted to harm him would receive punishment. The third and final factor was the red button that Makoto was currently holding in his hand. The words escape button were crudely written on this button in marker. And though the first 2 factors were certainly cause for panic, Makoto only seemed at a loss over the third. During his free time, Makoto noticed the school store was open. His curiosity got the better of him. He was overwhelmed by the disjointed atmosphere upon entering. His attention soon focused on a strange vending machine. The words Mono Mono Machine were written on it. Seemed to accept the strange bear-pattern coins they sometimes found inside the school. Yeah, I'm glad for this official fanfiction. They decided to come up with, like, you know what? The Mono Mono Machine's canon and you all have to deal with it now. And we were all like, good, great. We love it. It's too stupid to ignore. Seemed like a bad idea, but Koto thought there might be a chance this machine could dispense some way of escaping the school. So, he inserted the only coin he had into the coin slot. The result was the escape button mentioned earlier. It says Mono Mall? No, that's over on the left. It's talking about the gacha machine. I don't know why they called it a vending machine. Probably because they don't call it gacha machines here in America. There's a limit to how much you can tease us. Maybe the mastermind who trapped us in here is making a cruel joke. These thoughts filled Makoto's head. He began to feel deeply discouraged. However, there's always a chance, right? Makoto was just an ordinary boy. He only gained entry to Hope Speak Academy through a lottery to find the ultimate lucky student. Maybe that luck was the real deal. If this button is real, maybe I can let Sayaka... Makoto took a deep, slow breath and pressed the button. Instantly, pain burst through his entire body. Koto's arms and legs went limp as he lost his balance and fell to the floor in a crumpled heap. As he breathed heavily, it dawned on him what had just happened. I got electrocuted? He looked down at the button in his hand and noticed a small needle sticking out of it. Koto quickly surmised an electric current must have been running through it. After regaining enough of his strength to stand back up, Makoto thought about it once again. I should have known. It was a fake. Just how sick and twisted was the mastermind? Yeah. They put a fake escape button in the, gacha machine to fuck with whoever got it, just in case. Give him that little bit of hope and then zap! It still feels a little woozy. Oh! Did Makoto happen to receive brain damage of some kind? Go back to my room and rest today. With that in mind, Makoto walked out of the school store with slow, careful steps. Now, who do we know in Danganronpa who got brain damage at some point? And what happened to them? Makoto didn't know yet. If the escape button really was a fake, it would have been an act of mercy from the mastermind. A small, bear-shaped shadow began moving around inside the now-empty school store. The shadow, Monokuma, stood before the Mono Mono machine and stared at it silently. After some time had passed, he began to laugh. A cold, hollow laugh, utterly devoid of emotion. I'm curious why he's a fucking dumbass now. No, he was like that before. Despite the fact that he was alone, Monokuma began to talk, almost as if he was speaking to someone. Perhaps Monokuma was talking directly to the mastermind controlling him.
I only put that in the Mono machine because I thought it'd be interesting if one of the last few survivors happened to win it. With a success rate of 0.00000001%, never thought anyone would actually win it. Perhaps I should have expected the ultimate lucky student to overcome such impossible odds.
Monokuma started blushing and breathing heavily for no apparent reason. Even the official fanfic try to describe the different sprites before they have the characters talk it with them. A robot like Monokuma doesn't need to breathe, but because his technology is super advanced, he can express himself like a living creature. Platypus controlling me. He was a true ultimate analyst. His brain damage has rendered him incapable of consciously accessing his abilities. He manifests only 30% of the time in accurate predictions. Problem is, I think it's actually supernatural bullshit because of what happens in the little light novel that comes with Ultra Despair Girls. I'll get to that.
Makoto was chosen through a lottery, and now he's won the escape button through a lottery. This is obviously impossible, right? Is this what a miracle is? Is this all systems go toward escaping? Is something that defies all common sense about to come crashing into my world? Even though I don't really want this at all, I'm starting to enjoy this new sensation. We'll go back after these commercials.
Monokuma's internal machinery began running at full capacity. Facial expressions began changing more smoothly than any humans could. Suddenly, his expressions immediately stopped. He whispered through his speakers.
Is this really good? Is this really good luck?
After muttering something so ominous, Monokuma's loud, screeching laughter rang jarringly throughout the room. The situation that was about to unfold contained two conflicting emotions in equal measure. Hope and despair. Bear and bull. Next day, nighttime. Student dormitory, Makoto's room. Koto Naegi lay on his bed, desperately struggling with the despair and hope churning within him. Also the brain damage. Monokuma had forced the students to each watch a DVD earlier that day. Makoto showed a scene that suggested his parents and little sister were in danger. He now found himself determined to leave the school. Please, Kyoko, I know we have to expose Monokuma and leave this place, but I need to gamble my mono coins. Please, Kyoko, I need this. My classmate's kinda homeless. Hiro just kinda nods. Yeah, I'm kinda homeless. He needs this, Kyoko. Seems the other students were forced to watch shocking videos of their own. Videos so shocking they were now determined to escape the school too. Even if it meant sacrificing someone to do it. However, it was obvious these videos were part of Monokuma's trap. As long as a student killed someone, they were allowed to graduate and leave the academy. It seemed the mastermind controlling Monokuma was hell-bent on making the students kill each other. But right now, Makoto was most worried about Sayaka Mizuno. Seemed to be incredibly distressed after watching her DVD. Sayaka wasn't just the ultimate pop sensation. She was also Makoto's classmate when they were students at Blackroot Junior High. Her optimism had been encouraging Makoto these past few days. He was becoming a similar source of strength for her as well. Nothing else, I have to at least save Sayaka. As soon as Makoto thought that, suddenly felt a small headache. Still reeling from being punched by Mondo the other day? Was this a side effect of being electrocuted by the escape button? As Makoto pondered these things, the pain slowly subsided. He returned to his determined thoughts of escape. Anyway, we all need to work together and... Huh? That moment, Makoto realized his goal had changed slightly. We all need to? Ideally, it would be best if everyone survived together. However, aside from Sayaka, Makoto had never met the other students before. He didn't know if they could even be trusted in the first place. But at that moment, he trusted them without even an ounce of suspicion. He believed they were worth helping even at the cost of his own life. Just like Sayaka. Why? The headache struck again. As if all the blood vessels in his brain were being individually sliced open. Why'd I just think I could trust the others as much as I trust Sayaka? Koto tried to figure out why this thought process had suddenly changed. Something was wrong. Throbbing pain in his head seemed to synchronize with a strange feeling that something was approaching him. Bagels? Maybe that's related. As a ray of light began to form within the dark recesses of his own mind. The doorbell rang. Now, I do want to say, there's not actually any indication in the first game that they have doorbells. But most fanfiction, including this one, seems to come to the conclusion they do. We always see them knocking on doors. We never see them try to get someone's attention by ringing their bell. And you never hear a doorbell ring when someone comes to Makoto's door either. And it's just a tiny thing. Someone's here? Quickly got out of bed. Not only made the headache worse. With no concern for his safety, Makoto carelessly opened the door to his room and came face to face with Sayaka. I'm really sorry to come by so late. Sayaka? Retconned? Maybe part of the if is Monokuma gave them doorbells. The pain. What are you doing out so late? The moment he saw her face, the pulsating pain in Makoto's head began accelerating. Felt like his world was being torn apart from the inside out. Sorry to bother you, but something really weird just happened and... Makoto? What's wrong? You don't look so well. Sayaka was pale and had been trembling when she came to Makoto's room. She seemed surprised to see that his complexion was worse than her own. Good old-fashioned brain damaged. Yeah, I'm fine, it's just... my head. Makoto couldn't finish his sentence. His eyes rolled back into his head as he lost consciousness and slowly fell to the floor. Sayaka's beautiful voice let out a scream as she stood over Makoto's body. Monokuma asking the real questions.
What if they had doorbells? That's the real source of this if.
Next day, the nurse's office. Oh, you're awake. Hey, you okay? How many fingers am I holding up? Makoto regained consciousness. He's greeted by the sight of fingers adorned with long, fake nails being waved in his face.
Here she is.
Huh? You're Junko, right?
Hey, why do you sound so unsure?
A little shocked to hear you say that. Why would he be unsure? Despite what she said, Junko Enoshima, the ultimate fashionista, was laughing as if she found this all very amusing. Makoto looked around and realized he'd never seen this place before. It looked somewhat like a hospital. 3 beds, including his own, were lined up in the room, various medical instruments laid around them. The black ceiling felt strangely oppressive. As he sat up, Makoto's mind immediately centered on one possibility. Where are we? Did we get rescued? That'd be nice, huh? She replied as she looked away. Junko explained this was the nurse's office on the first floor of the academy, which was not open at this time. The Monokuma thing said,
I can't bear to see my precious students getting sick.
And opened this place up this morning. Don't you think it's suspicious? What if all these meds are poison? To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. Koto remembered his encounter with the escape button and let out a small sigh. So, why am I here, Junko? You should thank Sayaka for that. She was here the whole night taking care of you. She was? Junko ignored Makoto's surprise and continued casually talking. Then Taka got all fired up and was like, we should take turns watching over him. I just happened to be on duty when you woke up. See, also this as a semi-official thing leads me cruelly to believe, like, I do find it hard to think Sayaka would have fully sacrificed Makoto. Like, she was banking on him taking the fall so she could get away with it, but she also didn't know it would kill him and everyone else in the process. Like, Monokuma hadn't given that part out just yet. Well, even then, only because Byakuya ditched. I see. Thanks. Like I said, you should thank Sayaka. Anyway, how are you feeling? Is everything alright? Kodo thought about it for a moment. Remembered what he had been thinking about just before he lost consciousness. It's kind of weird, but... Actually, it's a really weird question, but... What's up? Junko. Of course, Byakuya ditched. Yeah. I don't give a singular shit about this commoner. And I can't even murder his punk ass while he's in here, or you'll all know it was me. Who's Makoto with closest to being with before the tragedy, you think? They actually do kind of answer this during the events of this novel, if I'm remembering right. But I believe it was Sayaka and Kyoko, weirdly enough. Closest to those two. Like, Sayaka makes sense. But Kyoko is a little surprising in a non-life or death scenario. Junko, we've never met each other before, right? And the music stops when they say that. Ultimate Lucky Riz! Absentively. Upon hearing this, Junko's eyes widened. A few seconds later, she began to laugh. Huh? You for real? That pickup line is like a totally played out, you know? Even though she was grinning, a serious look came over her face. Just so you know, you shouldn't expect anything like that from me. I know I look this way, but I take my virtue pretty seriously. Pulling dialogue straight from her free time events. Love that. No, I mean, I never expected... Oh, that's what I figured. It's obvious that you're a total omega male anyway. Kodo and Junko continued to talk to one another. The true nature of his luck. He scores the baddest baddies in the world despite having the blandest personality known to fiction. Not the blandest, but up there, I'll grant you. Trust me, there are genuine, like, complete paper bags of people. At least with Makoto, especially going into, like, after Danganronpa 1, he gets a real martyr complex going forward. Where he really does believe he has to shoulder everything himself. Though he wondered why Junko was talking to him instead of leaving to get the others, Makoto didn't question it. He just wanted to talk to someone. Anyone. As long as he interacted with his fellow students, he believed he would learn the truth about what was going on inside his head. 10 minutes later, Junko mostly talked about alpha males and omega males, her time being homeless, about her past and her dreams for the future. Last topic was a lot heavier than the previous ones. Kodo's calm demeanor seemed to cheer her up. He smiled sincerely and said softly, "Thanks, Makoto." It was a sign of gratitude for listening to her troubles. She kept that same smile as she blurted out something horrifying. So bland, wanting to be peed on, making it seem like it's never his idea. And also, he inspires the urge to pee on him and women is his primary character trait, and we made that up. I mean, it's a big character trait. Who really knows what the fuck is going on in anybody's head, I think you mean? In return, I promise if I do decide to kill someone, it won't be you. Don't say scary shit like that. At least, that's what Makoto thought. Words that came out of his mouth expressed a different sentiment. I see. Thanks. I don't want you to become the Blackened in the first place. For some reason, Makoto felt like the murderous words that came out of Junko's mouth seemed like a natural thing for her to say. She seemed very surprised by Makoto's response and quickly blurted out, "Huh? Are you serious? I was just kidding." Jesus. Oh yeah, of course. Sorry for acting so weird. No worries. Let's just chalk this up to you being woozy from your recovery. Like, I will definitely give you, Makoto is nowhere near as fleshed out a character as Hajime. But at least, like, outside of one, they start bringing up, okay, he's hopeful, but that can also be to a fault. Like, they do bring someone in to point out the differing view of, there's some shit you just gotta give up on because it's not realistic. Though, to be fair, they also ultimately espouse the idea that if everyone believed that just working like that did work, then it would. Which is true. If everyone thought just talking things out would fix everything, then that would be a world where talking things out fixed everything. Like, but a lot of people just don't want to talk shit out. She returned to her usual bubbly self, let out a big stretch, and turned to Makoto. I'm gonna get going now. Make sure you don't get killed before the next person arrives. After seeing her off, Makoto laid back down in the bed and started thinking to himself. What is this strange feeling? His dull headache continued as his thoughts began to blur. I was just talking to Junko, but I feel like I was talking to someone else. Like Luke, if the sequels were good. He didn't consider trying to kill Ben. Still killed everyone, and Luke became depressed because believing in people was apparently the wrong decision. What a world that would have been. Yeah. One where Luke didn't die of a new made-up bullshit thing that doesn't make any sense for a light side technique. You know, projecting himself across the galaxy, somehow killing him. Because that's a thing the Force can do if you do too much. Kill you. Totally a normal thing. And an ability we were given any kind of indication he had access to. Bullshit. Die mad about it. Who is she? The more he thought, the more it felt like his memories were sinking into a thick swamp. Each throb of pain plushing in his head felt like a wave. Pulsing in his head felt like a wave on the surface of that swamp. What is this feeling? Felt very unpleasant, as though someone's voice was screaming at him from inside his head. Makoto tried to organize his thoughts and go over everything that had happened to him. He was interrupted by the sound of a bell. Unlike the dorm rooms, the nurse's office didn't have a doorbell. The Force when Sheev destroys the universe, let him cook, versus when Luke makes a long-distance call, kill him. The bell sound that Makoto heard was ringing throughout the entire building.
Ahem, ahem. Testing, testing. Mic check, 1, 2. This is a test of the school broadcast system.
It was Monokuma's voice.
Now that Makoto has finally woken up, please assemble at the gym.
Makoto listened to Monokuma's heartless order and got out of bed without complaining. I have to go. He walked one step at a time in accordance with the rhythm of his throbbing headache. Slowly, he walked forward. Not knowing if where he was headed was heaven or hell. The gym. Makoto, are you alright? Sayaka ran over to Makoto as soon as he entered the gym. Yeah, thanks. Sorry about yesterday. I guess I really worried you. Please don't apologize. I'm sorry too. Barged into your room when you weren't feeling well. Now you mention it. What happened yesterday? Sayaka looked away for a brief moment, immediately turned back, smiled her pop sensation smile, and shook her head. It's nothing. I'll tell you some other time. Huh? While they were talking, Kiyotaka Ishimaru, the ultimate moral compass, stepped forward, pointing an accusatory finger at Makoto. You're late, Makoto! Explain why you were tardy! The other students collectively raised their eyebrows, as if they were thinking, this guy yelling at someone who was sick? Like, what the fuck is he doing? However, Makoto just smiled gently and answered him honestly. I didn't feel well, so I was resting in the nurse's office. Note that in the daily logbook? See, consistent with my information. That's the case, I shall consider this matter settled. Conversation progressed smoothly, and Taka smiled as he kept talking. I'll take full responsibility for recording it. You just focus on recovering. If you ever feel ill, please report to the health committee. Seems we'll need to appoint health committee members after this meeting, though. Taka walked away, mumbling to himself as he opened a daily logbook he found in the Academy's supply room. Celestia Ludenberg, the ultimate gambler, saw the whole conversation and walked up to Makoto. She's here. Despite his unreasonable behavior, you knew exactly what to say to him. Huh? As soon as Celeste said that, it dawned on Makoto. It's true, he didn't feel well, and he had been resting in the nurse's office. When Taka asked him why he was late, even though he should have already known the reason, Makoto didn't feel annoyed or disappointed at all. It was as if he expected Taka to say that. Makoto felt strange he had accepted Taka's personality so quickly. Couldn't understand why he asked Taka to do something as unnecessary as recording it in the daily logbook in the first place. Why did I say that? It's like I was used to it. His response to Taka's demands came as naturally to him as breathing. Why? Why? Every time he tried to think about it, his headache grew even worse. Makoto struggled to think through the pain of his headaches. A black and white stuffed animal jumped out from behind the gym's podium and began twirling around as it spoke in a cheerful voice. Hey guys, is everyone here? He sounded like he was about to lead the students on a field trip. A single one of them had a smile on their faces. What is it this time? Gonna hijack a cruise ship and run into a gigantic worm? Of course, there was one exception. Yasuhiro Hagakure, the ultimate clairvoyant, still believed their current situation was some kind of planned event. Dumbass! Monokuma just ignored him. Continued to address the students with his adorable voice. Today, I'm going to tell you about our wonderful academy system. System sure sounds like a great word, don't you think? It reeks of danger, just like a bear. I want you all to trample over the deaths of your friends and grow up to have hardened hearts. It's good to be a little naughty. I want you all to grow poisonous personalities. After making his nonsensical introduction, Monokuma moved on to the next topic. With this, he began providing a detailed explanation of the most vile system in the school. The class trial. Now, you can't just kill someone. You gotta kill someone without anyone else finding out you did it. Monokuma talked about his horrible graduation program with casual indifference. Because a killing hadn't happened yet, his lecture didn't instill any despair in his students. As long as a killing never occurred, there'd be no point in the class trial. No one could really say that a killing wasn't going to happen. Students' suspicions began to rise. Monokuma continued explaining the class trial until... Wait, hold on a second. As Monokuma began to explain the executions that would serve as punishment, one girl stepped forward. Junko? Zeus saw how angry she was. The rhythm of Makoto's headache began to change slightly. 2 times now they've said your name? What? I'm not sure what you're freaking insane, you know that? Girl continued to complain angrily. Casually? Oh, right. She seemed completely different from the smiling person Makoto saw in the nurse's office. Huh? Was Junko always like that? Just, picking out some discrepancies here. No, she's different. That's how Junko acts, but... Is that person really Junko? Huh? Wait, what am I thinking? Makoto struggled with his headache and confusion. Monokuma and the girl continued to argue. What? Are you saying you're not going to participate in the trial? Only punishment awaits such blasphemy. What? Punishment? I don't know, throw you in a deep, dark, scary prison or something. Different. Strange feeling he felt was now directed at Monokuma. A prison? No. They aren't that kind. A series of images flashed in Makoto's mind. First he thought it was some kind of parade. Quickly realized that was a mistake. What looked like lights were actually buildings engulfed in flames. The red decorating the scene seemed to have come from human bodies. Despair. It wasn't confined to the Academy or even to Japan. Images of worldwide death and destruction flooded Makoto's brain with every throb of his headache. I've seen this before? Besides the indescribable violence taking place in all these images, there's one thing they had in common. Bearable. Who are they? They're rampaging terrorists wearing black and white masks were wreaking havoc in these images. They took everything. Money, valuables, lives, families, dignity, the past, the future, and possibly even hope. Bearable, I've bared in this bowl before. Deja vu! Deja vu, I have bared in this bowl before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my destiny. The masks these terrorists were wearing perfectly resembled the face of the stuffed animal arguing with the student before him. Shut the hell up. Say whatever you want. I'm not gonna be part of this.
Don't be so selfish.
You're the one being selfish. Kill whoever you want. It's got nothing to do with me.
The evil standing here before me. I'm trembling with fear. But I won't give in to such evil. It's my style to stick it out and resist till the very end. If you really want to get out of here, you'll have to go through me first.
Monokuma swung his arms wildly as he charged at the girl with waddling steps. He had an exceptional supply chain to outfit everyone with those masks during the apocalypse. I imagine at least some of them were homemade because of how the despair literally spread, you know? Water. Just one moment. Kitty's being a butt again. The girl stomped on the self-proclaimed headmaster of the academy with ease. You enjoying yourself now? Pinned beneath the girl's foot, Monokuma looked up into the girl's cold eyes and calmly asked,
Are you?
Huh?
Violence against Headmaster Monokuma is not allowed. You violated a school regulation.
At that moment, a chill ran down Makoto's spine. She's going to get killed. Monokuma's words sounded very threatening to him. It wasn't a prediction or a guess, it was as if he knew the danger Monokuma posed from the start. This continues, Junko's going to... His mind still didn't fully grasp the situation unfolding in front of him. By the time he realized he was about to remember something, he was already running forward. Junko? The impact of his feet combined with the rhythm of his headache, sending his brain and heart into a panic. No, she's different. She's...
I invoke the mighty summon spell. Help to me, godly spear Gungnir.
Monokuma wiggled beneath the girl's foot and let out a scream. That exact moment, Makoto charged at her and screamed out, Mukuro, watch out! Huh? Girl dressed as Junko Enoshima widened her eyes in shock. As if to evade the charging Makoto, she jumped back with agility unheard of in a teenage high school girl. And then, right at that moment, countless spears pierced the spot where she had been standing just a split second ago. All the students, including the girl, stared wide-eyed at this sudden turn of events. Spears, too many of them to count, had shot out with blinding speed from mechanisms installed in the floor and walls of the gym. However, Makoto was unable to notice this. Huh? Why did I call Junko Mukuro? Mukuro? That thought entered his mind. A sharp, sudden impact struck his side, followed by an intense, deathly pain that ran down his spine and spread throughout his entire body. The spear stabbed into his side, instantly tore his flesh to shreds and shot out his back, coated in blood and other bodily fluids. At that moment, the black fog that had engulfed Makoto's mind was consumed by death itself. And as his consciousness slowly faded, he remembered everything. Because of the electric jolt and the chemical compound from the escape button, because of that button that he had found by chance. Makoto Naegi managed to escape. He escaped this hopeless game where he and his fellow students had their memories stolen and were forced to kill each other. Of course, that escape is also what led him to his current life or death predicament. In the end, perhaps he only escaped from one despair to fall into another. But at the same time, his actions had unintended consequences for one person. The girl living a false identity as her beloved little sister, Junko Enoshima. Mukuro Ikusaba, the ultimate soldier and a member of Ultimate Despair. Her past, her future, perhaps even her hope itself are on the path to despair. And so, the curtain falls on Makoto's story for now. From this point, the story is about a certain girl. A girl who's more pitiful than anyone else in this sealed-off academy. A new curtain, along with new despair, shall now rise. Huh? Time had certainly stopped for Mukuro Ikusaba. It was as if everything around her had frozen perfectly still. In the past, she was known as the Ultimate Soldier. She had experienced this feeling before, during her time with the mercenary group Fenrir. In situations where she was surrounded by a hopeless number of enemies within the jungle, or in a desert ruin. The charging enemies seemed as though they were frozen in time, which allowed her to claim a decisive victory in all her battles. Yeah, her ability is Zawaldo. This wasn't a battlefield, so why did this familiar sensation activate once again? In order to understand what had happened, Mukuro slowly tried to assess the current situation from within this frozen world. Junko and Mukuro are both children of despair. But Junko Enoshima, the true ultimate despair, harbors a far deeper darkness within her. Though their last names are different, Mukuro is Junko's older sister, connected by the bonds of blood. She cooperated with Junko's hopeless plan and impersonated her under the pretense of participating in the killing game alongside her classmates. According to the plan, Mukuro was supposed to oppose Monokuma, who her sister was controlling, and be locked in a dungeon as punishment. Isolated from the others, she would then escape the dungeon and perform various acts intended to deprive the students of hope. That was the role she had been assigned. Yes. Yeah, that's what Mukuro was told was supposed to happen here. She was supposed to fake a fight with Monokuma. Monokuma would lock her up, quote-unquote. Then she'd be helping out behind the scenes to give Junko a break. Maybe sometimes even controlling Monokuma so Junko could fucking sleep. But Junko decided to give herself terrible, horrible, awful insomnia instead. When Makoto succumbed to his headache, Junko ordered her to see if the shock had caused him to remember anything that could make him a liability. He woke up as she was tending to him, so she made a small talk with him, but she didn't notice any change in his behavior. Junko never sleeps? Fucking feels that way, yeah. Maybe she used her ultimate analyst abilities to observe some Tibetan monks, those ones Batman always trains with, and she learned a few tricks. Till this point, she was certain there shouldn't be any problems. Nothing could possibly go wrong. She stomped on Monokuma like her sister ordered her to do, falsely spoke the lines she was taught to memorize. Afterward, she would fall through a trapdoor into the dungeon, remain isolated from the other students. That was her role. She hadn't done anything wrong. There were no problems. There were no problems. She repeated that to herself over and over like a silent prayer. In that frozen moment in time, what she saw was not a trapdoor, but countless spears. One of them had skewered Makoto through the side. Or she could sleep when they all do at night, set alarms to wake her up if necessary. Yeah, I imagine... What I have to imagine she does for that is she's got something recording the nighttime footage, and she probably watches it at, like, super fast forward, waits for when anyone actually moves around at night, because they often do, and watches that to figure out what happened. Why? Makoto? Why are there spears? Gungnir. Yeah, get it? Odin's spear to kill Fenrir. The Wolf of Ragnarok. A hint even all the way back there. I would have died if I hadn't moved. Did Junko mess up the plan? No, Junko would never mess up. Was she trying to kill me? Me? Makoto saved me? Why? Why did he say my name? If only Kratos were here. I mean, Kratos solos Monokuma, obviously. But let's say it's a teen Kratos who has a super high school level. Does he just stay so angry and end up killing someone? I don't feel like Kratos would ever try to hide shit. I don't know, it's a weird character to try to put into a killing game. Did his memories come back? Did I not realize that? Did I make a mistake? Super high school level god? And a super high school level Spartan. Something stupid like that. Is that why Junko got angry? Is this punishment? Is it my fault? Junko tried to kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Slowly time came back to her world. Mukuro could feel her face turning pale as she slowly looked toward Makoto. The students' screams rang throughout the gym. Saiko was probably the first one to scream. But who screamed first didn't matter to Mukuro. Makoto. Why? Makoto was the ultimate lucky student. He'd been her classmate for the past 2 years, and now he was a sacrifice to despair. Time resumes. I think the actual line, the best way to translate it would be like, time has my permission to continue. Like, he says it like it's almost in order. Time will stop on my demand, time will continue because I allow it. It's like the way he talks. Like his tone, sort of. Not long ago, he had given her an answer of sorts during their conversation in the nurse's office. It was just a pawn in the plan her sister had devised. Now, a feeling of doubt began forming in Mukuro's mind. What did I want from Makoto? As her heart churned restlessly, she continued to think. In return, I promise if I do decide to kill someone, it won't be you! Was I impersonating Junko then? Or did I really mean that? When did I start feeling this doubt? Just now, the moment he saved me? When he spoke in the nurse's office earlier? When I first confronted him about the killing game before his memories returned? Or was it before even that? Mukuro stood there, confused and overwhelmed, as Makoto slowly opened his eyes, the spear still impaling him through the side. Kuro? Makoto? Are you okay? Got a fucking spear in me, so no. Not okay. Mukuro was no longer impersonating the ultimate fashionista. Looking up from the floor of the gym, Makoto asked, Why are you dressed up like Junko? He was smiling. Maybe he couldn't feel the pain anymore. Maybe he was being affected by something else. But regardless, Makoto ignored the fact he was dying just to give Mukuro his warm smile. I'm glad you're safe, Mukuro. As soon as she heard Makoto's weak, fading voice, something inside Mukuro snapped. From within the shell of despair she had built up, an intense emotion began flowing out. No, this is all wrong. She couldn't hold back that emotion any longer. No. For the first time in her entire life, Mukuro unleashed a scream into the world. As Mukuro fell to her knees and clutched her head, a small shadow started walking toward her back. The stuffed animal that had been underfoot. Monokuma. His claws were extended, and he was no longer walking with his usual waddle. Instead, he moved like a beast, silently stalking its prey as he slowly advanced within his target's blind spot. Kodo didn't get too lucky this time. We'll see. As he inched closer to Mukuro, Monokuma raised his razor-sharp claws, crouched on his haunches, and suddenly leapt toward the back of her neck. However, just before those claws could reach the paralyzed Mukuro, a dark shadow moved in from the side and swatted those claws away with one blow. His lunge deflected, Monokuma was sent flying through the air, spinning wildly before crashing into the wall.
Damn you, what are you trying to do?
Oh no. Damn you. What are you trying to do? Sakura Ogami, the ultimate martial artist, had just prevented another tragedy. She stood before Monokuma and addressed him in a loud, booming voice. Not only did you attempt to kill Junko for violating school regulations, you even attacked Makoto, who had nothing to do with this. If you plan to continue acting in such a savage manner, there is no reason for us to play along with your game. Byakuya Togami, the ultimate affluent progeny, smirked condescendingly at Sakura. Fool. One could say you've now violated school regulations with your senseless actions. He looked as if he honestly did not care if his fellow students lived or died at all.
Well, she merely deflected the headmaster's attack just now, so I do not think it truly counts as an act of violence.
Like Byakuya, Celeste seemed unfazed as she chided him over his words. However, the banter between the two was enough to stir the stunned students into action. Byakuya as usual. Not always, let's be real on him. Makoto! Saiko was the first one to run toward Makoto, who lay bleeding from his stomach. But Monokuma stopped her, shouting in a tone of voice that seemed completely out of character.
Be careful, don't get too close to those two!
Huh? Startled by Monokuma's desperate tone, Sayako and the others stopped moving almost instinctively. Junko, you manipulative bitch. Students looked around at each other. Instead of his usual playful gait, Monokuma walked toward them with deliberate, methodical steps. Then he suddenly blurted out something that took everyone, including Mukuro Ikusaba, by surprise.
I'm sure you're probably confused by the sudden turn of events. I want you guys to work together.
Huh? Mukuro slowly turned her head toward Monokuma. He pointed at her and yelled,
Mukuro Ikusaba and her accomplice, Makoto Naegi, are the terrorists responsible for locking you all inside the academy.
Yeah, this was an automatic failure, so... Nuclear option! Once again, time stopped for Mukuro. This time, she wasn't the only one affected. Everyone seemed to be frozen in shock. After a few seconds of silence, Aoi Asahina, the ultimate swimming pro, spoke first. Wild? Yeah. Huh? You're kidding, right? I mean, Makoto is a terrorist? That's impossible. And who's Mukuro, anyway? Surely no one could buy that. Give it a minute. I mean, that's Junko. Monokuma began slowly explaining to Aoi.
The real Junko must be imprisoned somewhere in this school. Worst case scenario, she might be killed. Mukuro must have researched which one of you would be easiest for her to impersonate, hid among you all by pretending to be her. She's probably trying to make sure the killing game went smoothly.
Suddenly, Monokuma's hands and feet began jerking in an awkward motion as he looked at the other students and introduced himself. I'm Beshiki Madurai, the ultimate hacker. Completely made-up name. There is no proof that's a real person who ever existed.
I'm your upperclassman. I hacked into the academy from the outside. Was finally able to take control of Monokuma's body just a little while ago.
Take control from who?
From the head of the terrorist organization that's controlling this robot from the outside.
What? Koto's such a goofy little guy. And it's like, I do like how Aoi was Hino was instantly like, Makoto? A terrorist? I don't know if he could, I'm sometimes surprised he can lift his own head with how weak and pathetic he is, honestly. What are you saying, Junko? Mukuro trembled as she heard the words coming out of Monokuma's mouth. It's me, I'm actually the ultimate hacker from Danganronpa, if. Nah, it's Junko fucking with everyone, obviously. It's a closed system. You can't hack into Monokuma from the outside. Mukuro trembled as she heard the words coming out of Monokuma's mouth. For a brief moment, she clung to the hope that her sister wasn't trying to kill her. As soon as that hope was born, it was immediately consumed by despair. Junko had the power to... Oh, God. Ow. She would never let anyone hack her that easily. There'll be a real name, to be fair. She would know if there's someone actually like that. We have no confirmation. Like, we can make the guess that maybe there was a person like that, but they never appear in anything else and are never mentioned outside of this. Like I said, this is just semi-official fan fiction, so... No reason she couldn't use a real person's name. Like you're saying. Like, I just don't know if this is a real person or not. Because they're never mentioned outside of this thing. If they are a real person, they most likely died during the tragedy. How would Chihiro compare to the ultimate hacker if they exist? Well, Chihiro is more about making his own stuff. So I imagine the ultimate hacker would be better at, you know, getting past firewalls and the like, whereas Chihiro is better at making original things. There's only one explanation. Junko Enoshima was pretending to be someone named Beshiki in order to frame Mukuro and Makoto. It's as though Junko was using Mukuro's survival as a branching path to lead the students to a different despair. My name is John Hacker. They could work together to create the ultimate firewall. Yeah, and Chihiro's known to have collaborated. Monokuma continued talking, telling the students more lies designed to prod them into action. Your first day at Hope Speed Academy, you guys were exposed to sleeping gas, knocked unconscious, and taken hostage. Mukuro and Makoto are probably the only operatives the terrorists sent inside the school. Chihiro making it, Ultimate Hacker stress testing it until it's perfect. That would be pretty good. Means they probably know how to escape from here. Then Monokuma turned to face Mukuro. Mukuro Ikusawa is a member of a mercenary group called Fenrir. She's a wanted criminal who's killed over 10 people associated with the school. Don't get soft and think you can capture her alive. In fact, that's exactly what the cops told me. The moment I saw an opening, I tried hacking the trap they set and tried to kill her. What about Makoto? Monokuma gave a cold, emotionless answer to Sayaka's question. My guess is that a measly little ultimate lucky student didn't stand a chance of defying a group like Fenrir. He was probably threatened and forced to cooperate before you entered the school. Or, judging from his earlier actions, maybe Mukuro seduced him. Sayaka's face went pale when she heard that answer, and she immediately stopped talking. Mukuro raised her head and shouted, "Wrong. Makoto isn't a terrorist, you all have to believe me." The whole gym fell silent. And then... As if he was speaking for everyone there, Taka stepped forward and nervously asked, "Hold on. What do you mean Makoto isn't a terrorist?" Sounds like you're saying there's no doubt that you, in fact, are a terrorist. I ask that you correct yourself at once and say we are not terrorists. Celeste began expressing her own doubts as well. It is strange. Does not seem odd that she is so protective of someone we all just met a few days ago. Mukuro stood in silence. The other students' faces began to fill with suspicion and doubt as they realized they weren't looking at the real Junko Enoshima. Byakuya pushed up his glasses, typo, began coldly pointing out what seemed out of place to him. I heard that fool Makoto, or whatever his name is, call you Mukuro instead of Junko. Wrong, I have no riz. I could never make Makoto a terrorist. It is true. Mukuro has confirmed negative riz. How would Makoto know that your name is really Mukuro if he just met you not that long ago? That's... I've also heard of Fenrir, continued Byakuya. As I recall, its members have a tattoo somewhere on their body. Instinctively, Byakuya's words put Mukuro into a calm state of mind. In hostile situations, her defensive reflexes as the ultimate soldier often manifested themselves. Mukuro's tattoo was on the back of her right hand. Wondered how she could hide this from the other students without also calling attention to it. In the end, this concern was in vain. The police's records are true, she should have a tattoo on the back of her right hand. As Monokuma freely divulged that information. Jackass! Alright, cried Taka, his voice filled with enthusiasm. Show us the back of your right hand and prove your innocence. Monokuma dispensed another unnecessary remark.
Make sure you look real close. She might have covered it up with foundation.
Junko had ordered Mukuro to hide her tattoo with foundation, so Monokuma's information was entirely true. There's nothing Mukuro could do except stay quiet. However, she wasn't staying quiet because her identity was about to be exposed. She was struck by the realization that her sister was completely serious about pinning this on her. Why the hesitation? Shouted the foolishly honest Taka. It's my classmate, I have complete faith in you. From behind him, Hifumi Yamada, the ultimate fanfic creator, murmured to himself as cold sweat ran down his cheeks.
Well, look at that. This is what they call a checkmate, huh?
Why don't you just fess up already, you fucking bastard? In contrast to Hifumi, Mondo Owada, the ultimate biker gang leader, was royally pissed. However, there were some students who were busy questioning Monokuma instead of Mukuro. Hey, you're not coming to save us? Shouted Leon Kawada, ultimate baseball star. Hurry up and charge in here already. Monokuma looked at Leon and shook his head softly.
Police can't help you right now. Not only are you guys hostages, it's possible the entire school's been rigged with explosives and poisonous gas. I hacked into this Monokuma robot to investigate that for myself.
And what about everyone on that DVD? What about everyone outside the school? Asked Sayaka. Memory of the DVD she was forced to watch yesterday still weighed heavily on her mind, but Monokuma didn't have a clear answer.
I don't know anything about any DVDs. There are definitely terrorists causing havoc out here. Law enforcement around the world is in shambles trying to deal with this.
It's impossible. But when your insane terrorist sister who's betrayed literally everyone she's ever known betrays you, yeah, it's... No one ever accused Mukuro of being smart. Sayaka shuddered and collapsed to her knees. Sayaka. Next to her, Chihiro Fujisaki, the ultimate programmer, was unsure about what she should do. Could not have seen this coming. Behind her, two other girls stood silently. First was Toko Fukala, the ultimate writing prodigy. She seemed to be trying very hard to not look at Makoto as he lay bleeding. The other was a quiet girl who hadn't talked about herself much named Kyoko Kirigiri. Unlike Toko, Kyoko was watching everything intently, as if she were studying the scene of a crime. From Makoto's breathing patterns to subtle changes in Mukuro's facial expression, nothing was escaping her attention. Suddenly, Toko began nervously talking to Sakura. So anyway, let's just say that Mukuro woman or whoever over there is a terrorist. Hurry up and beat her to death or something. We don't know that yet, said Sakura. Yeah, to be fair, a lot of them are still doubting it because it's coming from Monokuma. My fists don't mete out justice based on simple speculation. Sakura tried to get near Makoto to examine his wounds. Monokuma stood in her way shouting,
"Don't come any closer!"
This meant that Mukuro was the only one who could get close to Makoto. Note Sakura did not say no. Yet, yeah, obviously. If she thinks this person is actually a straight danger to everyone here, she will stomp the fuck out of him. I think Sakura would kill to protect everyone, genuinely. And I don't think she's necessarily wrong to have that opinion. She'd ended countless lives on the battlefield, she knew from experience. If she didn't treat Makoto's wounds, he would die. His wounds were not immediately fatal. If she continued losing blood, he would eventually slip into shock and die shortly thereafter. Please, you need to treat Makoto first. Absolutely not, said Byakuya, harshly interrupting Mukuro. Tying you up and examining the back of your right hand is our first priority. Hey, Makoto's in danger! That's not the time for that, said Aoi as she cast a worried glance at Makoto. Also, still glad that a lot of the people were like, no, first thing is this person who he's not even fully saying is a terrorist, maybe coerced into this shit. If any of that's even true, make sure they not die. She was still having trouble understanding the situation and hadn't decided if Makoto was suspicious or not. How would Genocide Jack fare against Mukuro? It's a tough question. But the thing is, well, we'll have a small answer to this in a second. Byakuya was about to snap back at her, but Mukuro's actions stunned him into silence. She took a deep breath and then... Mukuro removed the blonde wig from her head. Where there were two long, blonde pigtails only a moment before, there was now short black hair. She cleared her face of all emotion. When she spoke, her voice rang throughout the gym. I'm not Junko Enoshima. My name is Mukuro Ikusaba. Students stared wide-eyed at her open confession. All she did was remove her wig and clear her emotions. In doing so, the person the students had recognized as Junko Enoshima vanished from their sight. The terrorists that had taken her place continued to speak in a calm, stoic tone. I helped lock everyone inside this academy.
The confession on a seaside cliff moment has finally arrived, Hifumi blurted out.
Weird reference to make. Mukuro when Jack's finger moves in Mukuro's world. Impossible! Whoa, wigs are against school regulations, Junko. I mean, Mukuro! Shouted Taka. As if stirred by their cries of excitement, the other students began clamoring among themselves. Huh? Makoto's wounds are, like, real? You dumb fuck. I mean, that stuff about terrorists and whatever is all real, too? Everything that's happened these past few days wasn't a bunch of staged events? As the reality of the situation began dawning on Yasuhiro, all Leon could say to him was, "Shut the hell up. Thank you, Leon, just... Leon, could you... Thank you." Leon just slapped the shit out of him. We were all thinking it. Byakuya just remained calm and addressed Mukuro in a condescending manner. What does your group want? If you were after money, you would have already tried to negotiate with me. Thank you, Leon. Of course, I'd rather let them die than surrender to your ransom demands. Our purpose is to fill the world with despair. Byakuya scoffed at this notion and began to speak once again. I see. Monokuma said something similar, so that ideology is what fuels your terrorism. It's true, if you did anything to me, you would certainly fill the world with despair. But obviously, that would be impossible for you. In the next moment, Byakuya found that he did not have glasses or a functioning left eye anymore. He couldn't figure out why. It appeared Mukuro had punched him so hard that that entire part of his face ceased to exist from his brain. He was forced to retract the idea that she could do nothing to him, because he really does talk big shit for having no hands. Aoi couldn't believe what Byakuya was saying and frowned as she muttered, "Self-centered can you be?" After confirming that Byakuya had no more questions for him, Mukuro looked to Makoto, whose breathing had slowed, and let her voice show some emotion. But Makoto has nothing to do with this. Byakuya brained chai tea. You can't believe what Monokuma says. What did you say, bitch? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're a terrorist just like Monokuma said. Mukuro looked away from Mondo and continued speaking. That's true, but Makoto isn't involved at all. Celeste coldly brushed her objection aside. I do not think trying to protect him will do you any good. After all, we all heard Makoto call you by your real name. That's... She had no words. There was nothing she could say to protect Makoto. There are things she could say to protect Makoto, but again, Mukuro's not that smart. Even though Makoto was truly innocent. Though Mukuro was the ultimate soldier, her powers were largely limited to battle. Even a normal high school student could outwit her when it comes to debate and negotiation. Yeah. If she were the ultimate negotiator, she might be able to convince them that their memories had really been erased. But in her current situation, if she tried to bring up their memory loss, they would think it was a desperate excuse. Even Mukuro knew that. Even if she didn't know what to say, she still knew what to do. Right now we need to treat Makoto first. Then she started walking toward Makoto as if nothing had happened. To the others, it seemed like Mukuro had decided to abruptly change the subject. Hang on. Hold it. We will immediately take Makoto to the nurse's office for treatment. However, we must tie you up. This was Sakura's honest demand. Not an unreasonable one either. There was no way Mukuro could accept it. She was separated from Makoto, there'd be no telling what Monokuma would do to him. That's actually a big thing to worry about. Between Mondo's hot temper and Byakuya's cold heart, Makoto could easily sustain further injuries under the pretense of interrogation. Furthermore, among these students, Mukuro knew she was the only one who had experience treating wounds due to her time with Fenrir. That's also true, yeah. Mukuro's the only one with medical knowledge. Mulling that over, she narrowed her eyes and went silent. Her mind was made up. She was determined to fight her way out of here and escape with Makoto. I apologize, but I need you to fall asleep right now. She said that, Sakura instantly positioned herself behind Mukuro. She was completely within her blind spot. To a normal person, it would have seemed like Sakura had suddenly vanished. After moving faster than any human being could see, Sakura's equally fast hands launched a blow toward the back of Mukuro's neck. However, sorry Sakura, but I need to get out of here. Mukuro parried Sakura's fist with a spinning roundhouse kick. Sakura raised an eyebrow at the unexpected counterattack. Mukuro tried to use the momentum of her kick to sweep Sakura's feet out from under her. However, Sakura dodged and instinctively struck back against Mukuro's pivot leg. Mukuro was faster, jumped up, aiming a tornado kick at Sakura's chin. Sakura deflected the attack with one arm, then both combatants leapt backwards, glared, and charged simultaneously. Every blow they dealt was parried and countered by the other. Though they were both unarmed, the sound of their battle echoed throughout the gym. It was like a typhoon had been compressed to the size of a car and set loose inside. The other students were powerless to stop them. All they could do was stare at the breathtaking dance of death unfolding before them. After 10 minutes had passed, the enormous sound of one final impact rang throughout the gym. Two warriors leapt back once again and breathed heavily as they stared each other down. My mistake. Though it's only been a few days, I cannot believe I did not notice such an impressive fighter was hiding among us. In addition to the surprise Sakura felt, it was as if the battle had left her energized. Mukuro, on the other hand, looked down at her arm, confirmed it had been wounded during the battle, and thought to herself, she's strong. I don't think Sakura's even taking this seriously right now. Yeah, a quick reminder, Mukuro has never been injured before. Sakura dealt her her first damage. Oh, here it is right now. Despite being constantly surrounded by firearms, blades, straps, and explosives during her time with Fenrir, it was the first time she had ever been wounded. Mukuro was powerless before the might of the woman known as the ultimate martial artist, and the strongest woman in the world. Just as I thought, I can't beat Sakura with my bare hands alone. If he had been directly ordered to kill Sakura, Mukuro would have opted to either sniper from a distance or poison her. Poison. Interesting idea. This close range, she would need an assault rifle just to stand a fighting chance. I don't have time for this. The line. She looked at Makoto and confirmed that his breathing had grown even shallower. Need to hurry. At that moment, she had no one to turn to for help. Suddenly, Mukuro had an idea. It was true that gaining an ally in this situation was impossible. However, she could still turn one person into her enemy's enemy. Mukuro took a deep breath before she charged at Sakura. She immediately fainted and charged at a different girl. Toko, who had been cowering in fear from the battle between Sakura and Mukuro in the corner of the gym. This is bad. Sakura was caught off guard and tried to run after her, but Mukuro was one step ahead and reached Toko first. Huh? Why me? I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Mukuro jabbed Toko in her solar plexus and she fell into her arms. Taka and Aoi yelled out in shock. This is bad. She plans to use Toko as a hostage. Toko! In contrast to their shocked faces, Byakuya just snickered and coldly remarked, You fool. Do you really think we care if you take someone we just met a few days ago as your hostage? Yeah, here's Byakuya not considering other people's feelings in his calculations again. Mukuro just softly glanced at Byakuya and replied, You didn't meet her a few days ago. What did you say? You met her 2 years ago. Byakuya scowled. Mukuro ignored him and held her bloody arm in front of Toko's face. Then she yelled into her ears, Wake up, Genocide Jack! It seemed so random and out of place. Why would Mukuro mention the name of a notorious serial killer right now? Students looked at each other with confusion when suddenly... Danganronpa speedrun? That is what if basically is, yeah. Toko, who had been groaning in pain, suddenly kicked off of the floor of the gym with renewed vigor. She leapt into the air much higher than any normal human should have been able to. While hovering several meters in air, Toko twirled faster than a professional figure skater. Yeah, here's the thing, Jack, I mentioned, Jack has some bullshit acrobatics feats. It's caused her skirt to flutter, revealing multiple pairs of sparkling scissors. Countless tally marks were scratched into her legs. You're home? Welcome home, Bathwater. We're reading Danganronpa if. Mukuro's the protagonist now. Shut up about it. Like a kill count carved into a fighter jet. If not for this situation, Toko's glamorous jumps and spins would have been a sight to behold. The girl formerly known as Toko Fukawa cackled wildly. Corpse? Yeah, not a corpse anymore. Her red eyes sparkling as her absurdly long tongue flopped out of her mouth. You called for me and so I appear. I've got to murder IOU for YOU. Toko? Situation had changed so drastically that even Sayaka, who was silent until now, spoke up. Hey, you flash in the pan. Don't treat Genocide Jack like that depressing little four eyes. That dirty girl doesn't bathe herself at all, so I gotta put in 5 times the effort to rub myself down in the shower. Phrasing! Yeah, I did always think, yeah, no, Jack must be the one who bathes them. Toko's sudden change in personality sent the students clamoring among themselves. Hey, what the hell does that mean? Monokuma just shook his head. There's some things even I don't understand. Soon continued to panic at the strange turn of events. Toko, now calling herself Genocide Jack, took out a set of scissors from under her skirt, snipped them with glee as she looked around the gym. Why do you think Jack is the responsible one? It really is. Jack is the one who bathes. She probably does the laundry. Is your best pickup line for Jack? I gotta hear this. Huh? Man, it's been a while since I got to stretch my legs. What were you guys gonna do here at the gym while I was snoozing away? Hey girl, I'm an expert in genocide too. Not imagining Jack also does the grocery shopping, gives them haircuts. I don't know if they have haircuts. Their hair is absurdly long. Have an orgy? I understand. I totally understand. You guys need me to cut up your clothes so you can feel even naughtier. Yeah, right. Why the hell would I do that for you dumbasses? My scissors are only meant for cutting the supple, tender flesh of adorable boys. Genocide Jack was causing a ruckus. When she saw Makoto laying on the floor, she tilted her head once again. Huh? Big Mac, you're like totally about to die. What's the deal? Did the world fill you with so much despair that you all came here to commit mass suicide? That's so hot. Why are you starting without me? Hoko, get a hold of yourself! Genocide Jack ignored Aoi and let her emotions run unchecked, jumping and dancing with excitement as she held her scissors. Ah, geez, I wanted to stab Big Mac's side myself. This spot right here where the ribs are kind of showing already. He's not even screaming right now, though. What does that mean? Oh well, maybe I can just get used to this feeling of alienation instead. I would like to note, apparently Makoto qualifies for Jack's pretty boy, pretty enough to stab quota. If she's saying all that about him. It is also worth noting, in one of the data books, there's a little section written by Jack where she kind of explains the concept of being Fujoshi, you know, a slash shipper. And she brings up a prime slash shipping opportunity amongst her classmates, which is Byakuya and Makoto. Like, it is the primary gay ship, and apparently Jack's at least a little into it, which, again, goes back to my, I'm pretty sure Toko and Jack don't understand that they have a crush on Makoto, but they also do away with anything resembling that in Ultra Despair Girls, so whatever. I have no idea what's going on anymore, shouted Yasuhiro. This is all the aliens' fault. Yasuhiro buried his head into his arms. No one was paying attention to him. Sune's attention was entirely focused on Genocide Jack. Using that to her advantage, Mukuro began sneaking over to Makoto. Aliens. Tired? Eh. As she cautiously picked him up, she confirmed that his body temperature was starting to decrease. I can still make it there in time. Though she was carrying another person, Mukuro managed to soften the sound of her footsteps as she ran for the gym's doors. By the time the students heard Mukuro open the door, it was already too late. She'd managed to escape the gym with Makoto. However, Not everyone was unaware of what Mukuro was doing. Monokuma saw her movements out of the corner of his eye, but chose not to tell the students. And one other person. Kyoko Kirigiri. She saw Mukuro carry Makoto away, but did not inform the others as she watched them leave in silence. As everyone wrestled with their own personal thoughts and speculations, Hope Speak Academy began walking a path toward a completely different chaos. With Makoto on her back, Mukuro took several trophies from the gym entrance hall. After passing through the door leading to the hallway, she jammed the trophies through the door handles. Though Sakura could easily destroy these makeshift locks, they'd buy Mukuro a few extra seconds. Mukuro started running toward the nurse's office. The place she last spoke to Makoto. Kyoko, let's take a look. Everything necessary for performing first aid could be found there. Her little sister was her enemy. Her fellow Ultimate students were her enemy. Her only ally right now is Makoto, who was on the verge of death. Mukuro knew that even she wasn't her own ally right now. Amidst all this chaos, amidst her sister's betrayal and nearly being killed, she believed. She believed she was the only one who truly understood her little sister. That's why she felt like she had to protect her. That's right, you didn't do anything wrong, Junko. You just wanted to feel despair, that's all. Right? Because you love me. That's why you wanted to kill me. You were just trying to feel despair, right? I'm sorry. Sorry I failed to bring you despair. Faced with the worst terrorist in the history of the world is my enemy. Yeah, that's pretty shit, yeah. Same time she wondered, if she saves Makoto and betrays her sister by disrupting her plan, wouldn't that fill her with an even stronger despair? Wouldn't that make her happy? But betray Junko? What should I do? Mukuro closed her eyes and listened to Makoto's weak breaths. What should I do, Makoto? A battlefield where all you need to do is kill and survive, Mukuro was invincible. She could suppress all her emotions and fully immerse herself in becoming a perfect killing machine. But in this twisted battlefield of daily high school life, she could no longer keep her emotions in check, especially around her little sister. Mukuro, the ultimate soldier, was beginning to question being ultimate despair. The impulses of the normal high school girl inside her were starting to affect her state of mind. Even so, the poor old girl continued to run through the dark hallways, clinging to this conflict within herself. She was now walking along a narrow, hair-thin path. What should I do, Makoto? Treat my fucking wounds already. Alright. I might have to go to the bathroom first. Just piss on me. What? What? A path between the hope of Makoto Naegi and the despair of Junko Enoshima. Meanwhile, everyone still in the gym was left in a state of complete confusion. Toko was famous for being a prolific author. Even though she came across as unsociable and depressing, her mind-blowing transformation seemed to have just tossed all that aside. Toko is genocide Jack? Oh yeah, Sayaka would have never found that out normally. Sayaka trembled with fear as Jack tilted her head and stuck out her long tongue. Huh? What's with this reception, you guys? You guys didn't know who I was? Have I been found out? Or have you known all along? Why was the sullen samurai dressed like that? That outfit didn't look good on her at all. Sullen samurai for Mukuro. No, that's pretty good. She was still dressed like Junko, just... Sullen Samurai was probably referring to Mukuro. Means Toko already knew Mukuro in advance. Confronting by that shocking truth, the students had no idea where to begin talking. So many things were clearly wrong by this point. Urine is sterile. Clean my wounds. Just saying. None of that is true, Makoto. Urine isn't sterile, and even if it were, that wouldn't make it a sterilizer. There were a few students, such as Byakuya and Kyoko, who opted to remain calm and observe the situation. Alright, someone better spill it. Who gave Makoto an extra mouth to feed? I don't care if you want to stab him or slice him. I just can't forgive whoever put that ugly ass hole in Big Mac's side. Yeah. So it's interesting. Because because Toko hasn't developed much of an opinion on Makoto now, Jack's kind of able to stick to her old opinion of Makoto, which is probably closer to Toko's old opinion. Toko? No. Genocide Jack spun her scissors in her hands. As she spoke, her emotions and facial expressions constantly changed. Even without the threat of her scissors, she exuded a sense of danger that made her unapproachable.
The flank stick of a young boy like macaroons is like a bluebird that pops out a golden egg. If you would have just let me handle it, it would have killed him so good that even Tiltil and Miltil would be eager to die. But poor McCutie's heart and soul have been stomped on by such a sloppy kill.
Tiltil, Miltil? I don't know what that is.
That actually sounds pretty exciting too. But I decline.
Toko, you're not making any sense. What in the world happened to you? Genocide Jack answered by pointing her scissors at Aoi.
What happened to me? I got bored, that's what. That sourpuss locked me up a few days ago, but when she went unconscious, I thought I'd finally get to do my thing.
Danger that makes her unapproachable,
Just like my love.
Yeah, I love Jack.
I woke up for all this. My cutie's soaked with blood and I've got no clue what's going on.
It's a different kind of danger, I assumed.
So damn confusing, all I can do is laugh.
I cannot do the Jack laugh too well. No one seemed to be able to get a straight answer out of Jack, so Hifumi made a timid remark.
Dealt with girls like this in my 2D dating games, but this doesn't even compare. It's like there's a triple S difficulty level to clear her.
Can't believe you'd even think about her as someone worth clearing, mumbled Leon. It was clear that things were going nowhere. And as if she was responding to everyone else's expectations, Sakura stepped forward. She might be in the throes of confusion. I should try to restrain her for now. As soon as she heard that, Genocide Jack stopped moving, stuck out her lizard-like tongue, and grinned wickedly.
What's up? You gonna fight me, Battle Ogre? Too bad. My lovely scissors are only for cutting through adorable boys. Women should just stay home. I won't take my scissors with your filthy blood.
It seems my words are useless on you. Didn't really use that many words. Sakura answered a fighter's stance, determined to restrain Jack. Jack knew she couldn't win in a fair fight and adopted a strange stance of her own. In a normal fight, Jack would obviously lose to the ogre. If Jack focused on dodging attacks, the fight would be hard to foresee. Yeah, Jack actually has the advantage of knowing who she's up against here, which Sakura does not have. Of course, Genocide Jack's physical abilities were only obvious to a few of the students in the first place. Two women exchanged hostile stares at the other students, as the other students gulped nervously and watched. Except for one person. Kyoko was watching something else. He was watching Monokuma, who was in the corner of the gym unmoving as white noise emitted from his speakers. He stopped moving the moment everyone's attention focused on Sakura and Toko. Possible that Madarai's hacking had been disrupted, but an infinite number of other possibilities were also swirling around in Kyoko's mind. She brushed back her hair with a gloved hand and continued to watch. Though she couldn't fully remember her talent, the actions she was taking right now were fueled by pure instinct. Strange situations that kept occurring in front of her were shaking her to her very core. Her mind worked diligently to scoop up countless amounts of information from her vast sea of memories. As they were synchronizing with the synapses firing in her brain, Sakura and Toko kicked off the ground at the same time and an intense impact rang throughout the gym. Thanks to the heated battle that was unfolding in the gymnasium, Mukuro was able to buy more time than she had imagined. Isagi Yoichi versus Kyoko Kirigiri. I'm not sure who Isagi Yoichi is. Okay, I like how you can very clearly tell by looking at the stain that they're reusing the blood stain from when Hifumi's body was moved from here, after he'd squirted blood on his face to fake a corpse. Blue lock guy? Okay. Kuro Ikusaba was able to buy more time than she had imagined. So she entered the nurse's office, she rummaged around for medical supplies and did what she could to stop the bleeding. Though still quite shallow, Makoto's breathing slowly stabilized. Mukuro let out a little sigh of relief. However... Yeah. Even though she somehow was able to stop the bleeding, she wasn't out of the woods yet. Miraculously, it seemed like none of Makoto's major arteries or organs were damaged. This perhaps thanks to his ultimate luck? Maybe he wasn't actually all that lucky. After all, the only sort of medical treatment he could hope for was partial at best. Mukuro couldn't decide. Only I could do a blood transfusion. Blood packs in there. Nurse's office should have had several blood packs for transfusions. Mukuro suspected that Makoto's blood type might be written in his e-handbook, but as she reached over to search his pockets...
I see you're reaching for a sleeping boy's clothes. What in the world is about to happen next? Adults can keep playing, but you kids better press the B button, okay?
Monokuma, you were slightly off. I'm afraid this was originally on PS Vita. There was no B button. Mukuro turned toward that familiar voice and saw Monokuma standing before her.
You're all alone with Makoto right now. Just think of me as a cute wild animal and let your lust lead the way. As the headmaster, I must prevent any illicit sexual relationships. But physical education classes are just fine, missy.
Though he looked just like the one that was at the gym, it was clearly a different Monokuma. One sec. Multiple Monokumas have been placed throughout the entire academy. It wasn't a stretch for him to suddenly appear out of nowhere. Regardless, the same person was controlling all of them. Mukuro had been wary of Monokuma's attacking her while she was treating Makoto's wounds. His appearance at this particular moment seemed to take her by surprise. Junko? Monokuma tilted his head, along with his entire upper body, inquisitively.
Junko? Who's that? Junko? Never heard of that country before.
No more jokes. Answer me, Junko. You were planning to kill me earlier, right?
Junko this, Junko that. What's your problem? I'm telling you, I'm Monokuma! You must be a big disappointment if you can't even remember something like that. You're not just a disappointment as a person, you're a disappointment as a sister, too. You're too skinny and your brain is nothing but muscles and your personality is just an unbearable.
I'm sorry. She didn't need to apologize, but hearing her little sister call her a disappointment yet again was enough to make the ultimate soldier recoil. I'm gonna need just a minute to feed my cat. Sorry, he's going crazy and it is past his normal time. I am returned. I apologize. Monokuma ignored her in her current situation, climbed on top of Makoto's barely breathing body, and began poking his cheeks.
So, what are you gonna do with Makoto now? Really interested in human mating habits, you know?
What are you? Asked Mukuro before trailing off. Monokuma lowered his tone and began whispering into her ear.
Makoto's a pretty nice guy, huh? He even sacrificed himself to save you. He's so generous that it's actually hopeless.
He's not dead yet. Despite her firm tone, she couldn't hide the fear lingering in her voice.
That's the most disappointing thing about you. You can't even say, I won't let him die.
I won't let him die, Junko. Mukuro could barely get a word in as Monokuma erupted with poo-hoo-hoos and ah-has and continued to torment her.
As if you could do that. Too bad, no regrets, see you tomorrow. What? Is this all because Makoto was the first person to smile at you? You, a disappointing, depressing, unladylike, inhuman killing machine.
Despite denying that he was Junko, Monokuma began speaking at length about Mukuro's past. Completely in character? Yeah. His contradiction was very much like Junko. Mukuro was so shaken that all she could do was watch the bear prattle on and on.
Only the fit survive in this world. The only thing that kind-hearted people can do is die, you know? As proof, you're gonna watch Makoto die really soon.
He won't die. Mukuro's tone of voice had become irregular ever since she took off her Junko wig. Aside from her conversation with Makoto, everything she said as Junko was from a script that her sister had written. Now there was no script for Mukuro to rely on anymore. Mukuro was treating Monokuma like she would treat her own sister. The other students saw her acting so weak, they'd never believe she was the same person who fought Sakura in the gym. Not just that, if anyone from her mercenary past could see her now, her stark change in attitude might make them think she was someone else entirely. Monokuma continued to rail against Mukuro.
Nope, he's gonna die. I know it's sad, but you just have to face the facts.
Monokuma wriggled his limbs and danced around, pointed right at Mukuro's face.
Because Makoto is going to die by your hands.
And Monokuma Theater ceases. Huh?
Infighting among the terrorists. The big bad terrorist silences the weak-willed Makoto before he can leak any information. Doesn't that happen all the time? In the end, all the desperate things you said in the gym turned out to be lies you told just to escape.
Mukuro frowned at Monokuma. Can't do that, Junko. I won't let you do that. She blurted out those words in a trembling voice. Mukuro was gripped with confusion about what she had just said. Am I defying Junko right now? Why? It was a strange feeling. Mukuro was like she was standing on the ledge of a tall building, imagining what would happen if she jumped. A destructive feeling, akin to holding a friend's baby and wondering what would happen if you tripped and fell. Before she knew it, fear and anxiety had suddenly taken control of Mukuro's heart. Completely normal reaction, by the way. If you're holding a baby, you just... all the thoughts of... damn. Really go for a touchdown right now. No, I don't even like football. As a member of Fenrir, and as ultimate despair, Mukuro had killed innumerable people. I think that's a you thing? No, it's a lot of people talk about, maybe not the football thing, but talk about, like, thinking if they carry a baby, they start getting nervous about, you know, like, what if I drop it? Like, maybe my intrusive thoughts are a bit more active than theirs, but it's still intrusive thoughts when holding a baby. She had handled live grenades before. She had descended from the sky in a parachute as anti-aircraft weaponry fired all around her. Her heart never wavered on the battlefield, but now it felt like it could collapse at any second. Monokuma, however, was as stable as a tree. Slightly tilted his head to the side.
Huh? Weren't you listening to my story? I'm not the one who's gonna kill Makoto. You are.
Being nervous about accidents isn't intrusive thoughts. I guess, but I still see people have the intrusive thought of, this fragile, small thing, what if I broke it? And it does extend to babies. It's hyper-aware because you're carrying something fragile. Yeah. But that is an intrusive thought, and you're not gonna gaslight me into thinking I'm alone for having it. Maybe you don't. I can't force you to say you do. But I'm not... you don't get to act like I'm alone in the world. What are you saying, Junko? Monokuma began giving a strange explanation to a very confused Mukuro.
Do you know what the suspension bridge effect really means? It means you push the person you love off a bridge and they'll be yours for eternity.
I haven't heard that at all.
Life doesn't always follow what your textbooks say. It's sad, but that's what love is.
His words made no sense, and Mukuro couldn't think of anything to say as she stood there dumbfounded. Meanwhile, Monokuma continued his little speech, intentionally saying things meant to antagonize Mukuro.
Basically, this is your big chance, you know? Kill Makoto right here and now, nobody will ever take him away from you again.
Sorry, my cat finished his food and decided he wanted to punch his bowl, so had to take it away from him.
Makoto Daegi, dead by dawn. Last name he ever spoke was Mukuro Ikusaba. The last person he ever smiled at was Mukuro Ikusaba. Doesn't that sound wonderful?
There was a certain appeal to Monokuma's twisted suggestion. Mukuro found herself unsure of her own judgment. This is wrong, it has to be wrong. It's really Junko saying all this. Doesn't that mean it's right? No, this isn't Junko, it's Monokuma. Monokuma, 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 Monokuma.
And are you sure you want to help Makoto? Once he gets better, he's gonna know everything! He'll know what you did to your classmates. I can't believe you would actually erase your friends' memories of their time together and force them to kill each other. Makoto might get mad at you and say, our real enemy isn't the bear, it's her. Do you really want him to blame you for this?
Her face turned pale.
Or are you gonna kill the others? If everyone except you and Makoto dies, you'll be able to spend the rest of your school life together. Can't hold a class trial with only 2 people. Might be a good idea for you both to live the rest of your lives in this academy forever.
No, that's wrong,
What are you gonna do if his memories return? It's not like you were dating Makoto or anything. You were just watching him from afar the whole time. Man, you're so shy. You can shoot people's hearts and brains no problem. You can't even woo some stupid boy into liking you. You wanna know who Makoto had a crush on before his memories were taken away?
Mukuro trembled as Monokuma continued pressing the issue, gradually loosening the screws, keeping her heart secure. So Mukuro chose to pretend she didn't hear anything at all. All emotion vanished from her face, and she looked silently for Makoto's e-handbook.
If you're looking for his blood type, it's not written in the handbook.
Mukuro's face turned pale. Within 5 seconds, her plan to ignore Monokuma had already failed.
But since your headmaster is made up of 50% kindness, I'll tell you anyway. Makoto's blood type is B.
As soon as she heard him say that, all the anxiety, horror, hostility, malice, and dread churning within Mukuro had completely vanished. Thank you, Junko. Mukuro's eyes sparkled without a hint of suspicion. Dumbass! So she turned her back to Monokuma without a hint of suspicion, walked toward the refrigerator containing the blood packs. Fresh blood packs should have been prepared before the plan took effect. B as in bitch boy. Lasting cold storage for 21 days, they should still be good. Despite her emotionless face, Mukuro let herself feel a small amount of satisfaction. She took a blood pack from the refrigerator. As Monokuma watched her, his normally emotionless eyes twitched ever so slightly. If a third party could see his face right now, or even if the other student could see his face right now, they'd wonder, is Monokuma surprised? That's right. They have the same shocked look on their faces as if they were seeing Monokuma for the first time. That moment, a whisper crept out of Monokuma's emotionless face. Should be a limit to how disappointing you can be. It was far quieter than a mosquito's wings. Even with her battle-hardened hearing, Mukuro couldn't hear what he said. Monokuma shook his head, and the voice returned to normal.
Not like I care that you, the ultimate despair, has hope in anything. Not like I expected much from you to begin with. So this'll at least help me feel despair. But seriously, you disappoint me. Just so you know, despair and disappointment are completely different things, okay? They're as different as bears and pandas.
What are you? Mukuro's body started to shake as she turned back to look at Monokuma. He hadn't started talking any differently than usual. Junko hadn't turned off the voice modulator and started talking in her real voice or anything. Yet Mukuro was utterly terrified. She was terrified on instinct. At battle-hardened, that amazing author means she has tinnitus and is partly deaf from all the explosions and gunfire. Not as a soldier. Half the reason she was terrified was because of her instincts as the ultimate despair. The other half was because she was Junko's older sister. Even through Monokuma, her instincts were telling her that Junko was annoyed with her. Junko? Why Why are you annoyed? Is it because I betrayed you? Is it because I didn't die like you wanted me to?
I'm beyond annoyed. I'm really, really angry, and I'm really, really disappointed right now. I'm so pissed I could take a rage nap right now.
Monokuma's anger didn't seem any different from his usual anger toward the students, but Mukuro could instinctively sense another emotion mixed with it. Right now, she could feel that Junko was feeling hopeless disappointment. Normal for someone who's disappointed to lose hope, but for ultimate despair, disappointment means something else entirely. To them, disappointment was tantamount to losing despair itself. Mukuro was a member of Ultimate Despair, Bearball. At her sister's behest, Mukuro had soiled her hands many times in order to fill the world with despair. Yeah, she wiped out an entire middle school in a day. Thus was born the Killer of Justice. Despite her pride toward being a member of Ultimate Despair, there was a clear difference between Mukuro and her sister. Junko Enoshima was despair incarnate. She was born in despair, letting it infect other people's hope so it could rot them from the inside out, twisting them into her own image. For Junko, feeling hope was its own despair. Creating despair in others created despair in herself, which caused her to feel both intense pain and intense bliss. Junko had walked the fracture created from the conflict between pleasure and penance all her life. Eventually, the fracture would widen until it swallowed the world and tore it in half. And Mukuro, on the other hand, had neither hope nor despair for the world. At least not when she was a member of Fenrir. Ever since she was a child, Mukuro believed she was meant to spread despair because of her sister. She didn't harbor any ill will toward the world. She simply accepted she was meant to spread despair, chose to walk the same path as her sister. The doubt she felt was only a recent development. Junko might win an insanity plea, Mukuro would not. I don't know. She's a bit detached from reality. She's delusional, at least, in how she was manipulated, and truly believes Junko is infallible and flawless. Like, I don't know, you might be able to make an argument. Junko told her about the plan. She watched the world burn at the hands of terrorists wearing Monokuma masks. She never wavered once. However, as soon as she heard about her sister's plan to make their classmates kill each other, Makoto included, a strange feeling began to stir within her. What started as a seed of doubt soon grew into a thorny vine ensnaring Mukuro's feet. So she disguised herself as Junko and finished meeting the other students. As soon as she had confirmed that everyone's memories had been completely taken away, that vine began tightening around Mukuro's heart. They're gone. Junko's the only one who knows about me now. That's it. That's no problem, it's just like old times. Things will never go back to how they used to be, but that's fine. This should be fine. She'd relinquished the past 2 years she had spent with her friends so she could betray them. Deliver death and despair unto them. Though her heart ached, Mukuro was beyond feeling guilt or remorse for her actions. The question, why does my heart ache like this, still remained unanswered. Perhaps that's why she spent so much time talking to Makoto when he was in the nurse's office. True nature of Makoto's ultimate luck is it selectively rises every female who one day might be beneficial to him. It is unfortunate how that does seem to interact with Junko's crazy ass. Because wouldn't Junko be beneficial to have, but also a nightmare to have? Both simultaneously? So, Junko kinda is both simultaneously. When Makoto gave her that one particular answer, something changed inside her. In return, I promise if I do decide to kill someone, it won't be you. Even his luck has its limits. No, I'm saying it might have worked and that might have made things worse. It can't fix her? I didn't say shit about fix. Let's be real here. I did not use the word fix even once. Neither did you. You said Riz. It's just that while Riz might make Mukuro be a bit of a turncoat, rizzing Junko is a sure way to die. That's what happened to Matsuda. That's what I'm saying. His luck has limits. It cannot fix her. No, I'm saying... No, I was agreeing with you. Or maybe you were agreeing with me from this word. I don't know. Words Mukuro blurted out to Makoto weren't improvised to further her role as Junko. It's an honest sentiment from the bottom of her heart. One sec. What's going on, it stupid? No. Even planning to ask Junko herself if Makoto could somehow be spared from her plan. Over the past 2 years, Junko's interests had been slowly shifting away from her sister and toward the world itself. By extension, her interests also included Makoto, first person to ever smile at her and make her feel connected to the world. It was like a sapling of pure honesty that had taken root in Mukuro's heart. I should wear a shirt that says, I can fix her as long as she's not Junko Enoshima. He should, yeah. By the time she realized that, the tree had already rotted. Mukuro struggled to understand the situation. Monokuma let out a sigh and said,
I wonder which part of you is a wolf, anyway. You're just a dog that blindly follows Junko's orders. What does the tattoo on your hand even mean? Are you just a bitch who's pledged her loyalty to her owner? I bet Toko would say that. I'm positive.
Monokuma continued to talk as Mukuro stood in confusion.
I was obviously lying when I said Makoto's blood type is B.
What? You lied, Junko?
A normal person would have been suspicious. Never thought you'd actually believe me just now. I must have misplaced my eyes, because I totally did not see that coming. Not even with my ability to predict the future. How shocking. Jeez, I'm about to start crying my eyes out like some sort of robot cat, seriously.
It's going to be okay, Junko. I know our plan kind of fell apart, but I'm still on your side. You feeling alright? Because I'll do anything.
Snap.
Harsh sound came from Monokuma's mouth.
That sound was one of my circuits overloading. It's been so long since I've felt this angry. Meet me on the roof of the school. I'll smash out all your baby teeth.
Monokuma started shadowboxing in front of Mukuro, who remained frozen in place, clutching a blood pack in her hand. She still looked confused, and Monokuma threw up his arms in frustration.
You're so disappointing, I can't even predict it anymore.
A threatening roar burst from Monokuma's mouth as he leapt at Mukuro with his sharp claws extended. At that moment, her face became completely emotionless. It was not a conscious action. Defensive instincts she honed during her time with Fenrir temporarily suppressed her emotions as she countered Monokuma's attack. Mukuro grabbed a nearby IV stand and used it to parry Monokuma's claws. However, Monokuma's claws seemed to be made of a special alloy and easily sliced the bar in half diagonally. Instead of following up his attack, Monokuma continued talking to Mukuro.
I guess you're not much of a disappointment when it comes to fighting. In fact, if you were so pathetic that you died from that single attack, that would have been interesting in its own way. Right now, you're just incompetent at everything!
I'm sorry. I couldn't help blocking your attack. Bring the blood pack, Mukuro, and provide a heal over time. But there's no way I can fight you, Junko. Well, I don't know. Did she do, like, Blood Ties questline with, like, teaming with the family, or what? After all, I'm all you have. The only one who understands you at all. Mukuro's words were riddled with endless dismay. The contrast between her usual stoic self and the way she was acting now was so stark, people might assume she had multiple personalities. However, Monokuma just quietly stared at her. He was perfectly still, as if all his functions had powered down completely. Mukuro continued to share her feelings. There's no way I can just leave you alone. Monokuma broke his silence, but... that moment, a monitor in the nurse's office lit up, displaying a girl's face, Junko Enoshima. Same time, a voice completely unlike Monokuma's began to play from the speakers. Hey, Mukuro. Junko! In several days since Mukuro had heard from her sister's real voice, face remained emotionless, excitement sparkled in her eyes. Kind of Marshall Bill doesn't do that quest for the perk, it's free healing. However, that shine immediately dulled. I'm grateful to you, Mukuro, I mean it. Junko's voice emanating from the speakers sounded very gentle and kind. Junko? I'm really sorry. I said so many mean things to you. I even tried to kill you earlier. I was about to make you do something horrible just now. Even though I know about your feelings toward Makoto. You don't have to force yourself. Even if you didn't notice, it was totally obvious to anyone looking at you. You never cared about the class photos, but when Makoto said he was going to take one, you made sure you were facing the camera. Real detail the author picked up on genuinely that helped inspire him to write all this. Like, in like an interview he had where he was talking about Danganronpa and he was like, because I think he was friends with Kodaka. Still is, I assume. It's not like they stopped being friends, I don't think. They were just both part of an interview, and he was talking about Danganronpa and how much Mukuro was like his Blorbo at that time, kinda. Just his Glup Shido character, almost. That he was just obsessed with picking apart everything about her. And he had this idea for a story. Kodaka was like, I might call you up to do something with that. And sure enough, they released 2, and they let him write his own what-if fanfiction for the first game starring her. Then Junko Enoshima, the ultimate despair, flashed a smile. A pure, sweet smile. To monitor, she looked like a normal high school girl teasing her older sister. Mukuro could feel despair and anxiety encasing themselves around her. Always thought you should have tried to take pictures with Makoto. I guess that's what makes you disappointing. Still, even though you're disappointing and annoying, I still love you. Mukuro trembled upon hearing those words. I love you. That's all she ever wanted to hear her sister say. Mukuro believed. No matter what Junko said, she believed she really loved her. She believed she was the only one who could truly understand the despair known as Junko Enoshima. She was naive. As soon as she heard Junko say, I love you, Mukuro realized she never completely understood her sister. It was only at this moment that Mukuro finally understood her sister's feelings. Junko's words right now were kind. Perhaps that kindness was completely honest. The words I love you might have been true as well. However, for Junko Enoshima, this was her way of saying goodbye. She was severing the ties between them. It was painfully clear to Mukuro. And then, before she could even say anything, the girl in the monitor made a remark that cut Mukuro to the bone. I'm sure someday you'll make your dreams come true. Ultimate despairs never talk to each other like this. A simple truth stabbed into Mukuro's heart. Junko had no further use for her. Her own sister was parting ways with her. Mukuro had dedicated over 10 years of her life to the cause of ultimate despair, and at this moment, it all counted for nothing. But those years no longer mattered to Mukuro. Her sister's rejection was more than enough to send her into the depths of despair. That's why Mukuro, even now, clung to a small sliver of hope. Meanwhile, Junko was still on the monitor. Yeah, right. Do you really think I'd say something that nice? You're so annoying. Can't you just hurry up and disappear already? Mukuro hoped Junko would say something like that. She hoped she'd start verbally abusing her again, or call her useless and incompetent. Mukuro was no masochist, but she'd prefer to be showered with bullets and contempt than endure this kind of emotional pain. But I love you, Mukuro. Bye-bye. The monitor went black, leaving Mukuro to process the horrible goodbye she'd just received. And as if on cue, Monokuma started moving again.
Isn't family love so nice? By the way, did you know that in about half of all murder cases, the killer is a family member?
Monokuma spoke in his usual tone of voice. It was unclear if his words were getting through to Mukuro. Mukuro let the blood pack in her hand fall to the floor and tightened her grip on the iron bar she was still holding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Junko, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. She mumbled quietly, as if she were chanting a spell. Walked past the blood pack on the floor to Makoto's bedside with the iron bar in her hands. I'll do it properly. I'll make sure I do it. So... Oh?
What are you gonna properly do to Makoto with that big, thick rod you got there? Are you gonna do him? Or are you gonna do him in? Either way, I'm starting to feel some heart-throbbing excitement.
Mukuro looked like she had been completely broken. Monokuma walked closer to her with eager anticipation. Suddenly, Monokuma's body silently floated into the air.
Huh?
With no expression on his face, Monokuma tried to see what had just happened to him. In the blink of an eye, an iron bar ripped through his body. The tip of the bar, which had been cut diagonally earlier into a sharp point, went straight through Monokuma and stabbed into a surveillance camera. Are you going to pee on me? Mukuro, oh, you're killing Monokuma. Okay, yeah, I'll take that, honestly. The lens was completely destroyed and the camera shot out sparks as it broke down. The iron bar was still stabbed in the surveillance camera as Monokuma dangled from the other end. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but only static came out. A few seconds later, his functions came to a complete stop. Not making a sound at all, Mukuro had kicked Monokuma into the air. As soon as Monokuma's power source and his bomb circuit had perfectly aligned with the surveillance camera in the nurse's office, Mukuro plunged the iron bar into all three of them. No normal human had the skill to utilize such a technique. Not even an ultimate. All the hesitation within Mukuro had vanished. Her eyes sparkled like a panther stalking its prey at night. A tense aura surrounded Mukuro, even more so than when she fought Sakura earlier. Ignoring Monokuma's lifeless form, she looked at Makoto as he breathed softly and remembered her sister's parting words. So this is despair, she mumbled to herself. So sorry, Junko. Never really understood what despair was. She spoke without emotion, like a machine. It's going to be all right now, I finally understand. Hidden within her, passions began to stir. So, I'll make sure I make you happy, Junko. I'll make sure I fill you with despair. I'll save Makoto. I'll make sure the others don't die. I'll let them escape from this place. I'll deal with the people on the outside, too. You invested so much time and killed so many people for the sake of this plan. I'll destroy every last remnant of it. For you. This was not an act of vengeance toward the sister who had abandoned her. This was an act of mercy. Stuck between the ultimate despair and the hope she gained from Makoto, Mukuro was being refined into something that was unlike despair or hope. She had no way of knowing where her path would lead. Over 10 minutes had passed. Sound of the students leaving the gym and making their way to the nurse's office rang throughout the hall. She is truly the ultimate bear bull. Genocide Jack continued to dodge Sakura's attacks with her tricky movements. When Byakuya blurted out, "Enough already, you irritating pervert," Genocide Jack stopped in her tracks.
Oh my. Getting chewed out by my bespectacled Byakuya is making my masochistic side get all tingly. They say the line between sadism and masochism is paper thin, but in my case it's more like a Venn diagram. Words can't express these hot waves of passion scoring from the top of my head to the tips of my toes.
As she rambled incoherently about Byakuya, the other students tied her up with a microphone cable from the gym and locked her in her room. Half the students stayed behind to keep an eye on her, while the rest left to search the grounds of the school. As soon as the door to the nurse's office opened, Kyoko saw a non-functioning Monokuma with a hole in its chest, the remains of a surveillance camera. It wasn't just in the nurse's office, though. On their way there, the students had seen several destroyed surveillance cameras and scattered Monokuma bodies. This was a clear violation of school regulations, but if Mukuro was allied with Monokuma, those regulations wouldn't apply to her anyway. Monokuma inside the gym was no longer moving, and the students had lost contact with the hacker, Beshiki Madurai. The students assumed that Madurai had taken control of a different Monokuma and went after Mukuro on his own. That in mind, Kyoko turned and looked inside the nurse's office once again. It was unusually quiet. Beds were empty, but Kyoko could see from the bloodstains that someone had been resting there recently. Looks like they're already gone. Looks like they're already gone, Wanda remarked, but as he was about to leave, Kyoko spoke up behind him. I'm going to stay here with Chihiro and search for clues. Huh? Clues? Kyoko continued to speak in a calm tone of voice. Yes, there may be some clues in these Monokuma remains. Figured you'd be the best candidate for investigating machinery. Sakura spoke up. But isn't that dangerous? Since Sakura could clearly hold her own in a fight with Mukuro, she joined the other students in searching the school grounds. Kyoko shook her head and replied, Sorry to say this, but if things get out of hand, Chihiro and I will just be in your way. I think it's better if we search for clues here instead of doing nothing. Now he's hitting his water bowl, even though it's full, so I have to take his water away from him. I don't know why he's like this. I don't know what possesses him to make as much noise as possible when there's nothing wrong. Besides, we might be able to use Monokuma's parts to detect any radio broadcasts from the outside world. You certainly have a point. Understood. We'll be exploring this floor for a while. Please shout for us if anything happens. Sakura left the nurse's office. How'd she destroy Monokuma like this? Chihiro cautiously stood over Monokuma's remains. Kyoko started searching through the room. She zeroed in on one of the beds and began studying it intensely. A moment later, Kyoko was satisfied with what she found and let out a small sigh before she spoke. Chihiro, let me apologize to you in advance. Huh? I dragged you into this gamble of mine, so if anything happens, run out into the hallway and call for help. What does that mean? Instead of answering Chihiro's question, Kyoko started talking to one of the empty beds. Let me say this first. I'm prepared to hear your story. No matter how ridiculous it may sound, I promise not to decide if it's a lie or the truth until after I've listened to it in its entirety. Chihiro looked confused. Name Beshiki Madurai is definitely fake, because it's a joke on Ishiki Madurai from Zero. That's right, that's what it was. Yeah. Right, the ultimate bodyguard. I knew I recognized the Madurai part. Like, I kept looking, I was like, where did I read that? Right, Zero. Madurai, the ultimate. Beshiki is essentially another Shiki Madurai, because it was one of, like, how many of them? 6 or 7 identical siblings that all were ultimates. Mukuro beat the fuck out of, like, all but one of them. By herself. The ultimate lowered her eyes and turned to the ultimate programmer to make a request. Chihiro, does your laptop have a voice recording function? Well, do you also have a microphone? Huh? Yeah? Why don't you use that to record everything we're about to hear? Chihiro shouldn't have access to a laptop yet, but okay. No one here. Chihiro wondered to herself. She began connecting Monokuma's parts to her laptop and turned on the record function. Sure we'll pick up every sound in this room now, said Chihiro nervously. Satisfied, Kyoko nodded and once again started talking to the empty bed. So what were you going to do if I'd told everyone that I'd found Makoto? Sure, Kyoko say that, Chihiro looked back at her and was surprised by what she saw. Boy, sure hope someone got fired for that blunder. Yeah, I think that was a slight little misstep. At that moment, the ultimate programmer was kneeling on the floor next to Monokuma's remains. In that position, he was able to see it. Of all the beds in the nurse's office, there was one bed in particular that couldn't be seen from the entrance. Underneath that bed lay a limp Makoto. Blood pack was hidden next to the bed and slowly provided Makoto with a transfusion. Contents of the blood pack were clear. Rather than blood, it seemed to be some kind of saline solution used in emergency hydration. Then it wasn't a blood pack. Wouldn't it be as effective as an actual blood transfusion? It was enough to keep him from going into shock. That was the extent of Chihiro's medical knowledge. It's already surprised Makoto had been in the nurse's office the whole time. Only that, Kyoko wasn't talking to the bed that Makoto was under. It sent chills throughout Chihiro's body. There was nobody under the bed that Kyoko was facing. The moment Chihiro noticed that, voice rang out from underneath it. As soon as everyone's attention was focused on Makoto, he was planning to take advantage of that opportunity to take someone hostage. As Chihiro cautiously lowered her head until it was nearly touching the floor, she was able to make out who was talking. Surprisingly, the person hiding there was clinging to the frame of the bed, like a ninja clinging to the ceiling. Presumably, if someone had glanced under the bed quickly, they wouldn't have noticed anybody was there. But Chihiro had no idea how the person was able to hide under the bed for so long. You could at least understand their strength was beyond normal human levels. No question the person hiding under the bed was Mukuro Ikusawa. You pretended not to notice. Why? Voice was cold as ice, but Kyoko didn't even flinch. Because I wanted to hear your side of the story. I knew you were hiding under that bed. Compared to the others, that frame was slightly more pronounced. Chihiro tried comparing the beds, but couldn't tell the difference. Only Kyoko's natural observation skills could let her see something like that. Mukuro seemed to come to a similar conclusion, appeared from under the bed. Face was stoic and cold. Compared to the bomb inside Monokuma, Chihiro thought she was even more terrifying. However, Mukuro ignored Chihiro and shifted her gaze at Kyoko. Leaning against a wall, let her arms fall to her sides as she threw out another question. Why do you want to hear what I have to say? Kyoko thought about this simple question as if she were searching within her own heart for the answer. If I have to provide an answer, it's because I wish to remain neutral. I'm currently missing most of my memories. I don't know who I am or what talent I had to be accepted into this school. She could hear Chihiro gasp behind her, but Kyoko didn't mind and continued. Even so, I believe I should listen to what you have to say. Regardless of whether you're good or evil, I must hear all the facts in order to know the truth. Good and evil don't matter. Come to a conclusion based on what I see and hear. I think that's the methodology that's been instilled into me. I see. I believe I forgot you were like that, Kyoko. Before I listen to what you have to say, I'd like to ask you one question first. What is it? Reply was completely emotionless. Kyoko presented her question as if she were asking it of herself as well. What was my talent that allowed me to attend this academy? Kyoko, you're the ultimate detective. Thank you. I have a better understanding of the situation now. Kyoko slowly raised her head and presented a theory. If my memory loss wasn't just a coincidence, then your group has the ability to erase people's memories. With that in mind, we take into consideration the situation unfolded in the gym earlier, I can only come to one possibility. Possibility? Yes. What you said to Byakuya when he thought you were taking Toko hostage. You claimed that they met 2 years ago. It's possible that might actually be true. The fact that Makoto called out Mukuro's name. Things that Mukuro confirmed and denied. Genocide Jack's outlandish claims. These key factors that Kyoko noted using her special observation skills were converging in her mind to form one answer. Kyoko figures it out with just a few more hints, yeah. Possible Byakuya and Toko's memories were also erased like mine, but I don't think their circumstances are quite the same as mine. But if our memories can be controlled so freely, calls into question whether the day Monokuma appeared was really the same day we entered the academy. Like you said, it's possible we've known Toko Fukawa for the last 2 years. What do you mean? What do you mean? Chihiro cried, still working on connecting your laptop. Kyoko continued. We thought we were knocked unconscious with sleeping gas the moment we arrived at this school. It's possible we were simply made to think that's what happened. For example, we may have already spent the last 2 years at Hope's Peak and our memories of that time were completely erased. Possible we aren't even ultimates at all. Random people who've been implanted with 16 years worth of false memories. That'd be a crazy thing to have happen. Kyoko's claim sounded ridiculous, her face was completely serious. Which means I'm considering the possibility that your crazy story is actually the truth. She didn't let that silence overwhelm her. The room filled with silence, but she didn't let that overwhelm her. Kyoko cut through it with her own words. Without evidence, all I can do is make hypotheses. So I want to hear what you have to say, Mukuro. No intention of blindly believing what you're going to say, or what the self-proclaimed hacker who took over Monokuma said. She paused and lowered her eyes again, declared with powerful determination, Even so, I intend to come to a conclusion as fairly and objectively as I can. I can only do that if you trust me and tell me the truth. Kyoko's conviction was clear from her voice. Mukuro's eyes narrowed slightly. A tapestry of emotions flashed across her face as she looked toward Kyoko. She opened her mouth, her expression and voice were completely devoid of emotion. It's right, I completely forgot you were like that. She repeated herself this to herself softly, then faced Kyoko and declared, "That must be why Junko took care to erase more of your memories compared to the others. I'll tell you everything." After Mukuro placed Makoto back onto the bed, she began to mechanically tell a story. Story of a girl who wanted to fill the world with despair. A girl who only felt truly happy when she was filled with despair herself. Plan for despair that began 2 years ago, or perhaps even earlier. How the world was currently ruled by despair itself. She provided a brief summary of everything she knew about the plan. So it sounded even more outrageous than Kyoko had expected. Through her story, Kyoko was able to learn the truth about herself. Who she is, why she came to the Academy, the fate of the Academy's real headmaster, Kyoko's father. She listened to Mukuro's story. Kyoko remained silent the whole time. Her face went blank when she learned her father had died. Perhaps her memory loss and the absurdity of the situation helped lessen the impact somewhat. There was no guarantee Kyoko would even believe her story. After Mukuro finished speaking, Kyoko stayed silent. With her unrivaled mental prowess, she was able to listen to Mukuro's story without interrupting her or dismissing it as nonsense. Mukuro continued. "You don't have to believe me. After all, any pictures that could prove my story are with Junko. All I can do is talk." After she said that, Mukuro silently walked toward the entrance to the nurse's office. She arrived at the door, she spoke again without looking back. "Even if you don't believe me, still listen to everything I had to say, so... Kyoko, Chihiro, thank you." She turned to the bed where Makoto lay, breathing weakly. Make sure Makoto stays rested. When he wakes up, make sure you give him some sports drinks from the dining hall or supply room to drink. Please. Of course, but what are you going to do now? Mukuro straightened herself up. Despair. Huh? I need to make Junko feel despair. Mukuro continued mumbling herself as she opened the door. Nothing else I can do. No, there is something you can do. Mukuro stopped walking as Kyoko spoke firmly. Regardless of whether Monokuma is really Junko Enoshima or Beshiki Madurai, if you're dealing with him, he won't be able to lay a finger on Makoto. I don't fully trust you. If you're really concerned for Makoto's life, I'm willing to work with you. Unlike Beshiki, who's probably abandoned him already. Right? I'm sorry. I don't really work well with others. Mukuro looked away, then bowed her head as she left the nurse's office. I'll do my best. Doors closed and Mukuro was gone. I'm sorry for involving you in something so dangerous, Chihiro. She continued to organize the vast amount of information Mukuro gave her. Kyoko turned to Chihiro, who was still working on Monokuma. As she trembled with fear, Chihiro slowly looked back at Kyoko. Kyoko? About what Mukuro said just now. Chihiro's face turned pale as she struggled with words. Kyoko tried to calm her down. We can't determine if anything she told us was true or not. There's no need to be afraid. Chihiro shook her head and returned to looking at her laptop. I think she's telling the truth. What are you basing that on? Well, it looks like Monokuma is really being controlled from the outside. Part of Monokuma's system had been connected to Chihiro's laptop, and she was analyzing the data within its control system. Then the Ultimate Programmer noticed something unusual about it. This control program... That'd be another year before the system became fully operational. Chihiro started trembling so much that she was unable to continue speaking. We can't confirm that, said Kyoko, proposing another possibility to avoid jumping to conclusions. Possible a similar program was being developed in secret. Chihiro adamantly shook her head and said, No, that's not it. Just looks really familiar to me. Yeah, you ever wonder who might have made some of the programs Monokuma's running on? Kyoko looked over Chihiro's trembling shoulders to peer at the screen, and that's when she noticed this program. Chihiro, did you create this? All the Ultimate Programmer could do was nod weakly. Main hall. Mukuro continued moving forward, and was fortunate enough to not encounter Sakura or Mondo. I don't know, I think she'd slap the fuck out of Mondo. No interference from anyone, she made her way to a hall as large as the gym, stood before the sealed main entrance. Suddenly, Monokuma popped out from the shadows to block her path. Within this hall that resembled a nuclear bomb shelter, replete with all manner of heavy weaponry, Monokuma's silhouette was conspicuously out of place here. His laughter rang throughout the room as he wriggled his body from side to side.
What were you doing at the nurse's office? Did you eliminate your rival from Makoto's affections? Or did you help play matchmaker instead? Either way, don't you think it's kind of adorable to put Makoto and Kyoko in this kind of situation together? If this were a suspense film, those two would be the last couple standing. But if this was a horror film, they'd just die anyway. The killer was alive all along. Splat goes the blood, plop goes the meat. I'm a huge fan of endings where the characters think they're gonna live, but they're really headed to the final death-tonation. Y'all know what I'm referencing. Wait, what the hell is a tonation? What does that even mean?
Despite Monokuma's angry complaints, Mukuro remained unperturbed. Continued to stare icy daggers at Monokuma, as if she was waiting for him to finish speaking.
Well, anyway, I'm just so sad right now.
He could beat Mondo, but she doesn't want to kill him, and he would make it difficult to deal with him, I guess. Yeah, she still doesn't want to be interrupted, and he'd at least take time, if nothing else.
A regulation-breaking delinquent is disrupting the harmony of this peaceful academy. I can't even keep one of my students from running wild. Time to say goodbye to your incompetent headmaster. I'm gonna use Monokuma Evolution to become a big Magnum headmaster and mold you into a decent student.
As he said that, Monokuma extended his claws and waddled toward Mukuro.
So if I'm gonna mold you, then I gotta kill you first.
As he finished speaking, Monokuma suddenly charged at Mukuro like a spiked volleyball. Mukuro was faster, dodged Monokuma's attack, jumped back, keeping her distance, just in case the claws could extend even longer. Then a shadowy figure appeared next to her. Mukuro twisted her body to its limit and just narrowly avoided the figure's attack. She landed on the floor she immediately saw.
So what does the immortal killer want, anyway? Are you gonna tell the others the truth and escape with them? Even though you know what the outside world is like right now?
Two Monokumas were speaking to Mukuro in unison.
Honestly, I don't mind if you do that. I can just imagine the look on everyone's face when they discover the truth. It fills me with such heart-throbbing excitement.
Two Monokumas continued to speak in stereo sound.
You said you'd destroy my plans, but there's no happy ending waiting for you, no matter which route you take. You only have yourself to blame for that. Don't tell me you thought they'd be grateful to you. Even if you guys escape here, do you think they'll still forgive you when they get a whiff of that nasty air outside? Some of them might prefer to stay in the school, and some of them might resent you for being kind and showing them the truth. Then again, this is all your fault anyway, so it doesn't really matter what they think of you. Monokuma made a little mistake.
Despite facing down two Monokumas, shouldn't be an apostrophe there, Mukuro's expression didn't waver. Understood controlling two Monokumas simultaneously was a piece of cake for Junko. Mukuro drew an arm-length metal bar from seemingly nowhere and readied herself. It was the remains of the IV stand from the nurse's office, sharpened into a pointed weapon. Weapon in hand, Mukuro responded in a cold, mechanical tone. That's fine, I'm already used to that. Now, the fear she felt when Monokuma suggested that Makoto would blame her appeared on her face. Her path was clear to her now. She calmly issued her demand to Monokuma. Junko opened the gates. Shock of such a straightforward demand left both Monokumas momentarily speechless, but soon they replied,
Why?
By the way, the thing I saw that said this was like a 2-hour read out loud, fuck you. So we can all leave together. Another straightforward answer. Both Monokumas faced each other and began gesturing as if they were whispering to one another. Mukuro knew their movements were intended to mock her. Unmoved, she continued to speak to Junko directly. I think they'll understand if I show them the outside world. And they'll stop doubting Makoto.
You always find new ways to disappoint me, Mukuro. Do you forget why the school has an air filtration system?
True, the air outside is polluted, but I don't think it'll kill us immediately. Almost there, Shirley. We're pretty close. Besides, it's better than being trapped in the school and forced to kill each other.
How can you be sure the others will go along with you? You know what I mean, right? Before the former headmaster got turned into space dust, he interviewed the others and they all agreed they wanted to stay in the school. And that was before their memories had even been erased. You really want to betray their wishes?
Mukuro blinked and slowly stepped forward. I don't really care about their feelings.
Huh?
You're all I need, Junko. So don't worry, I'm always watching out for you. I'm going to make sure you feel despair. I'm going to make Makoto and the others happy. You want to revel in your own despair that badly. I'll trust the hope Makoto gave me. Take my chances with them instead of you. Monokuma's turn to talk to each other again.
Oh my, this doesn't look good at all, Monokuma A. This child doesn't realize her own hypocrisy. She's so disappointed she's starting to reach critical mass, right, Monokuma B?
Two Monokumas looked at Mukuro, who seemed ready to destroy them, and said,
What do you think, Monokuma C?
She was taken aback by their question. Instinct suddenly kicked in, and she immediately dodged away. That moment, a third Monokuma, claws extended, passed by where her head had been previously. This new Monokuma unit landed with several spins and faced Mukuro, who had clung to the remains of a surveillance camera still attached to the ceiling.
I agree with you both, A and B.
Three Monokumas lined themselves up. Students locked inside the academy, this sight would have been akin to a nightmare.
Right on!
Three units began speaking in perfect harmony, and their 6 eyes looked up at Mukuro. They jumped away in 3 separate directions and kicked off one of the walls. The path of each unit's triangular attack all converged on a single point, Mukuro, who was still clinging to the ceiling, surrounded by razor-sharp claws coming at her from different directions. The situation wasn't even a nightmare to Mukuro. Compared to the time she fended off 3 assassins who had invaded her camp one night back when she was still a member of Fenrir, this was nothing. This thought crossed Mukuro's mind as she dangled from the ceiling with one hand and thrashed her limbs around like a tornado. Intercepted by this mood, the Monokumas fell to the floor with a loud crash. Mukuro landed on the ground and chased after one of them, brandishing her metal bar. She stopped moving and took a huge leap back. When the Monokumas exploded with a deafening roar, he detonated the bomb inside of himself in an attempt to take Mukuro down with him. Thanks to her home battle instincts, Mukuro managed to avoid the explosion. She looked toward the hallway, expecting the explosion to have attracted the attention of Sakura and others. She didn't hear any footsteps approaching. Monokuma's voice rang from within the dense smoke.
Oh, you don't have to worry. I told the other students to assemble in the cafeteria. They were eager to follow my orders after I told them I'd disarmed the poison gas, and the special police unit was coming to get them. Pretty sure Kyoko and the others are all in the cafeteria by now. I'm sure Makoto is with them too.
Huh?
I doubt Sakura will get too rough with him, but I'm sure Byakuya will torture Makoto once he wakes up. I can just imagine him rubbing salt or pouring soy sauce into his open wounds. Man, I'm getting all hot and bothered right now.
She listened to Monokuma's overlapping voices. Mukuro tilted her head slightly and asked, Pretty sure they're gonna find out you lied about that special police unit. You really okay with that?
No worries. Once I've dealt with you, I don't care at all if they find out I was lying. You still don't get it?
By the way, there's 4 quotes now, so...
You're such a disappointment.
Suddenly dawned on Mukuro. Not the reason why Monokuma didn't care. Rather, the voices of the Monokumas in the smoke were gradually increasing in number. Yeah, it was 3 earlier, then it went up to 4. And now it's... 10. Smoke started to clear, the shadows of 3 Monokumas appeared. One that exploded couldn't have revived, so a new one must have come to take its place. There's no way Mukuro only heard 3 Monokumas talking just now. As if to prove her hearing had been accurate, the Monokumas suddenly made their move. 3 Monokumas bent over and began twirling their upper bodies. From behind them, new Monokumas emerged, like afterimages brought to life. This second row of Monokumas mimicked the earlier ones with only 1 frame of delay, revealing even more Monokumas behind them. Eventually, Mukuro realized there were 3 rows containing 10 Monokumas each.
Did you know this is called a circle dance?
Monokuma's 30 voices spoke in perfect harmony, and they divulged information that had nothing to do with the current situation. Mukuro already knew multiple Monokumas were positioned throughout the academy. But only Junko knew how many Monokumas actually existed. Mukuro had no way of knowing if these 30 were part of a larger contingent. The flock of two-tone teddy bears continued to twirl around. Mukuro felt like she was being bombarded with hypnotic images. Faced with this abnormal sight, the ultimate soldier remained calm and maintained her focus. Nothing like the girl who had panicked earlier in the gym when Makoto was impaled. As she stood before 30 emissaries of despair, she slowed her breathing, allowed her heart rate to accelerate. It was instinct, not fear or panic, that sent her blood racing throughout her body, speeding up the reaction time of her cells. As her senses sharpened, the Monokumas began speaking to her again.
Don't worry, I'll make sure Makoto doesn't die. As long as everyone lives, I can reset their memories as many times as I want. That's right. All your effort, hope, dreams, and determination are going right in the garbage heap.
Hope, dreams, and determination, huh? Undertale stuff coming out of there. Monokumas took turns speaking in groups of 10. That the mastermind controlling the Monokumas wanted to show off her ability to manipulate them. The Ultimate Soldier knew what the true purpose behind all this was. Strained her ears to their limit and noticed a certain sound hidden among the voices. Her face remained perfectly still as she kicked off the floor. The moment she moved to the side, a roaring sound shook the entrance hall. Ceiling-mounted turrets in front of the gate started raining bullets down on Mukuro. Monokumas were just the mastermind's decoy while she tried to blow her away. As if further trapping her, the Monokumas charged at Mukuro through the storm of bullets. Mukuro guessed the mastermind programmed their movement in advance so they wouldn't get hit by a single bullet. Ran for the gates, evading waves of bullets and claws every step of the way. Programming 30 Monokumas and 2 turrets while also predicting Mukuro's escape route. This would be considered impossible for anyone, but it was possible for Junko. As ultimate despair, she possessed despair-inducing abilities that surpassed the capabilities of any normal human. Her display of power was only for filling Mukuro with despair. Jeez. Despair. The scene playing out in front of Mukuro was brimming with despair. Monokuma laughed and danced like reapers as bullets whizzed through the air. Despair to the point of absurdity was all for Mukuro. In the presence of such despair, Mukuro felt a strange serenity. For me? Junko's doing all this for me? Junko, are you watching me right now? In the end, perhaps Mukuro really was a disappointment. She clenched her fists. Junko, thank you. The sound of gunfire overshadowed her whisper. Mukuro fell completely silent. As a member of Ultimate Despair, Mukuro's heart was filled with joy. She was filled with emotion. Her eyes had lost their sparkle. Silence filled the air. Even the gunfire from the turret seemed to stop for a moment. It was only an illusion to the one controlling Monokuma. Something strong enough to silence the gunfire and avoid being picked up by the sensors spread through the school, with Mukuro at the center. I'll make sure I do this right. With that final thought, she closed her mouth and turned off her emotions. She ran through the waves of scorching bullets. The air around her began to grow colder. This coldness spread into her heart. It began to beat in a mechanical fashion. Several seconds later, Mukuro's body and mind, melded together, became one with her surroundings. Her temperature now dominated the battlefield. Despair, bullets, and Monokumas filled the area. Mukuro predicted their movements and jumped into the air without hesitation. One of the Monokumas jumped at her, but she avoided his attack, kicked his body, and launched herself in midair. Bullets pierced through the space Mukuro was previously occupying, striking the falling Monokuma right through its internal bomb. Impact of the bullet caused it to explode, sending fiery Monokuma parts everywhere. She rode the blast wave. Mukuro balanced herself in midair. She kicked away 3 Monokumas that leapt after her. Moved so gracefully she was practically flying. In contrast, the Monokumas threw themselves into the path of oncoming bullets, exploding one after another. Some of them exploded near the main entrance, but their blast didn't even leave a scratch. Full control over the entrance, Mukuro evaded bullets and confirmed the bombs inside Monokuma weren't enough to destroy the door. She refused to stop. She needed to get information on what she must do to escape the academy. She had no desire to kill Junko. She wanted to fill Junko with despair by instilling hope into the future of Makoto and the other students. That was Mukuro's ultimate goal. Get information. I think this is gonna go another hour, at least, the way it's going. I can't do that, I'm sorry. Like, we're already way past time for me. Hang on. Insert bookmark. Yeah. I'm gonna have to back off and pick this up another time. That's gonna do it for this one. I'm gonna stop this recording. I will finish it another time, I promise, but God, that summary lied to me. Who the fuck said it was 2 hours? I've been at this 2.5 and it feels nowhere near the end. I stopped recording for YouTube here. Thank you so much for coming if you came. You didn't come, you don't get a thank you. Bye-bye, YouTube.